Well, none of them can hide from the truth, yeah. Children have to go back to the roots, yeah. None of them can hide from the truth, yeah. Children have to go back to the roots. I'm telling you now, the truth, the truth. Telling you, yeah, the truth, the truth. You have to go back to the roots, the roots. Go to the roots, to the roots. Yeah, man, you know, this is Benjamin out of the Smiling Coast, West Africa, Gambia, representing for the one and only Abu, the big man you don't know, the Soninke warrior, the man that brings the truth, Soninke warrior, the sign of enlightenment, the Soninke warrior, the righteous and the true African. Abu, reveal the truth to them, you know, no matter how them try run from it, because none of them can hide from the truth, yeah. Yes, we have to dig back the roots, yeah. Fire!
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Afridamus Report. I'm your host, Afridamus. You know, I am your antidote to the bullshit that is usually spread around, because there's a lot of stuff that people usually don't talk about. Or when you talk about it, they try to bring you their own version of what they think you should be thinking like. But that's where I come into play. You know, usually I know, you guys see me like I'm sipping on something. You're probably wondering what it is. I thought about it. I was like, today I'm going to share with you what I'm drinking. This is ginger, peach, turmeric. Ginger, peach, and turmeric. It's kombucha. It's one of those things. It's good for the stomach. So that's what I have here. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about, who is more likely to bully African immigrants in the United States. Because yesterday I came across a conversation on the African Millennials channel, and there were a couple of people there. St. James was there, African React was there. So I'm going to talk about that, and I'll let you know what I truly know about who is more likely to harass, belittle, and laugh at Africans and African culture. What groups of people are more likely to do that? This is what I'm going to be talking about today. Yes, Audrey, don't worry. I'll open up the lines for this one today. I'm definitely going to open up the line. I just want people to know, like I said, I am your antidote to bullshit radar. Because you see, yesterday I heard a couple of things that stood out to me. Since I'm not an impulsive person, I can actually sit back and listen to people talk about, they could be lying, they are talking about useless things. I would listen, because I don't want to assume things. I don't just want to say, oh, I thought. No, I want to hear what people have to say. So this is why it behooves me. It blows my mind when people come, they try to formulate their argument against someone, or points, but then they turn around and say, oh, I didn't even listen. This is common amongst, most people on the internet today, but mostly Black people, because they think that, oh, if they tell you, oh, I wasn't even listening, that's one form of them, belittling you. That's they're attempting to. But if you're somebody like me, you would want to get into the deep psychology of why people act the way they act. Because, like I said, I do not put myself in a position or the mindset to say, oh, I feel sorry for someone, blah, 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 whatever their situation is. I'm not God, you know? I'm not God. I'm not here to feel sorry for you or not feel sorry for you. That's not what my job is. But I deal with what is in front of me and what I see. Again, I don't assume things. I don't want to assume anything. I'm not in my thoughts. Like I always tell you, all thoughts are lies all the time. So this is why when someone is like, oh, I thought, how many times have you said, I thought, but it turns out to be a lie? You think people would be smart to get out of it, but no, the ego won't let them. The ego is too strong. They can't let it die. They have to play God. So this is when you play God, you're bound to play the opposite of God, which is the devil. And the devil is the lesser version of God. The devil would appear like it's got power, but it really doesn't. And this lack of power, but also having the perception of it, forces the devil's children to lash out, to act a certain way. See, when you're consumed with just yourself, all if you think the world revolves around you, you're bound to make lots and lots of mistakes. That's where people play God. And there are people who grew up in cultures like that. Like in the United States of America, a place where many Africans, you dream about coming to America. But your idea of America is through movies. For you, like to actually meet a physical, actual American is probably a white Caucasian. And you assume that, all Americans of all stripes would be just like your American white friend you met in Africa. The white person is more than likely a Christian. So, so this is why you would think, all Americans are that way. And you watch movies, they show you, you know, the other side of town. Everything is nice and cool, both black and white, because they are generally what are showcased in these movies. And you watch it, and there are good movies, there are bad movies, but there are some movies, mostly that when I was growing up, that most Africans have seen, is the nicer part of Black America. And all the other kids, they're inspired. Everyone is like, I want to go to America and be like those Black people. People's association of it is what you see on TV. They show you, mostly we know was entertainment. Those who don't read, that's what you know. So entertainment is something which is, again, is the devil's work, because you start going into your own head and you create this perception, because that's what they want you to have. Feel good perception. But now, is this real when you come to America? There are many of you've never fulfilled that quote unquote dream, but as long as you're still breathing, there is chance for you to come and see for yourself. But I was lucky enough to achieve that dream, came to America. First thing, I had to go through the process. It wasn't difficult. I showed up at the American embassy. They had all my documents from school. See, the thing is, I'm not going to say I am, the smartest kid in the class. That's not what I'm saying. But I was good enough to get the visa with no problem. So now I'm like, yeah, I'm going to America. I'm going to go be black over there. Because you see, over there, we don't see the ghetto black. We didn't know that. Most people don't know this. So now you take other part of Africa, because I've run into other people from other parts of Africa, let's say the war zones. When I, like, let's say places like South Sudan, you know, somewhere in Congo, you could tell they are not really privy to the to anything about American culture whatsoever. At least I had a little idea. So I'm not saying here that I'm the one that experienced bullying or whatsoever. Attempted though, every single time. And I would get into that because every single time this group of people hear the accent or you say you're from Africa, that's like a joke. They crack jokes, they laugh, but they say this is their culture. That's why I say when people are too self-centered, they don't, they are not aware of themselves. There's no way they can be aware of other people. Because where we come from, you don't just meet strangers and just think it's funny and laughing at their culture or asking them questions, framing it to where they're taking you into making fun of your culture. So, who is more likely to harass African immigrants in America? Laugh at them, call them names, belittle them. Yesterday, that's what the conversation was about at the African Millennials channel. That's what it was about. And also, I would touch on several of the Nigerians that came on the panel. And we will talk about Nigerians as well. The pattern you would see with most Nigerians in America. Not all, but most. And if, because when you see something, you have to talk about it, right? And you come online and you see the same type of behaviors exhibited. And, all of you that are from Africa, we're not going to hide it. Most likely, you know what your idea is of Nigeria, to be quite honest. Not all of them, but for the most part, we see what most of them would do, even to each other, much more another African. I would also touch on that. I would talk about the different interactions because not all Africans are the same. Audrey, I know you're Nigerian, but I have to break this down for sure. I have to. Because I'm seeing a lot of things being said on this online, and people are trying to brainwash, other Africans, young kids, trying to brainwash them into biting, this fake, useless ideology, trying to tell them, hey, look, no, what you're seeing is not really what it is. But when you put so much emphasis and say, this is your culture, this is great. It's great. But culture is a man-made thing. And people can have the option to be a part of it or not be a part of it. Right? But I have African Reacts with me, a young man who's a teenager. He's at the age where he He can tell us exactly about this. Because when I came to the US, I didn't come as a kid under parental supervision, just right after high school. High school. So, was a bit older than the age that he is. So, my real interactions, because when you're talking, I listen to you. Like, there's no way you'll be able to make me feel bad about myself. But people have attempted many times in America. They would make monkey sounds to you. They would say Africans are smelly, African booty scratcher. I've heard people say this. They didn't say it to me, but I've heard them say it to other people. Or they say, oh, they make fun of your skin color. But you see, where I come from, you know, um, our culture is to respect other people. When you meet strangers, you don't make fun of them. You say hello, you greet them, or not, but you try to find out how they're doing. The last thing that would come to your head is to make fun of a stranger. Not that people don't, I wouldn't say some people don't do it. There are some who have bad manners, who lack respect, who would try to do that, but they wouldn't do it to the person's face. They wouldn't go out of their way to try to make the person feel bad. But I'm not going to keep you guys waiting. I'm going to bring African Reacts, a young man. He's going to tell us what group this is. He's a young man. For him to come and tell us what his experience has been. Because people were trying to chastise him about a whole lot of things that he said. And I listened to him. I know exactly what he's talking about. But the biggest problem is, no shade on the platform where they went to go discuss this, but I don't think they are, you know, they are ready to handle those type of topics that they are bringing, because they don't really know. They don't really know about who they are talking about. They really don't have any idea. They don't know about that, the culture. They don't know anything about America. So a lot of things, especially I notice when Africans are beginning to speak facts about what they see, other Africans would run interference and block them. And why does that happen? If you think about it, it's coming from a place of, more than likely inferiority complex, because most Africans exhibit inferiority to any Western group. This is true. Most do. And who do you more likely see who would mostly think would run this interference, against Africans? But they would say, oh, we are brothers and sisters. But they would run interference to thinking they are helping this other group of people. And these people wonder why most African countries are very leery of people from this particular country, and which is Nigeria. 1 out of 5 African you run into is a Nigerian. So we cannot all of a sudden come here and pretend and act like, oh, everything is fine and dandy. Because even in Gambia, you talk about for Yaya Jammeh, the former dictator there, when he wanted to take his opponents down, he hired what they call missionary judges. And guess where they're from? Nigeria, because they would do anything for money, period. So when I hear on the internet, some people would think I'm throwing shade at Nigerians. I'm not saying all Nigerians. I've met some great Nigerians, seriously, but also not so many great ones. And even on the internet here, people just look around. Who is going out of their way to pretend to be like they are Pan-Africans, but their Pan-Africanism is only attached to Black Americans. You remember, those of you that are from Gambia, think about it. Who used to pretend? Who is more likely to pretend and lie to people and say they are from America, pretend to be Black Americans? So I'm not surprised by what I'm seeing on the internet. So, and I noticed some of the guys on the panel, they were confused by what they are dealing with. So I'm going to break that down for you so that you understand where this is coming from, so that you know what you're dealing with here, because it is about understanding, right? Exactly. Mimi can confirm that. Yep, I can attest to that. He hired Nigerian judges because Gambians were done with him. Yes, because Gambians didn't want to do the dirty job because they know they have to live there with us, their relatives. But this is why when people are talking about this Pan-African stuff, blah, 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 it makes me laugh. And then a young man wants to talk about his experience in America. Other people want to talk about their experience. Why do these people feel the need to come and try to, make it seem like, oh no, it's not a big deal. It's culture, blah, blah, blah. Great. If that's your culture, you can do that with the people that are part of that. But don't just meet people and assume their culture is one way or another. They're like, oh, we pick on each other. Okay, really? You pick on each other? How come, anything that is meant to be insulting in your culture has to begin with, has something to do with Africa? So this is why even some of them, they go, for example, they were saying Trump was insulting Africa, and they said they are defending that. I just walked past them. How did he insult Africa? But you insult Africans to their face all the time, every single time. Oh, behind their back, when you insult each other, your insults are based on African. I'll just tell you, a lot of people that you see that are saying are African today in America, I'll assure you. Do you know, you tell a Black person, most Black people tell them they look African, that's considered an insult? Do you guys know this? They consider that to be an insult. You got to ask yourself, why is that? But yet, you that is, you're proud of being an African, you okay, but you see all these things. This is no longer a movie thing or somebody living in another country fantasizing about America, somebody telling you about America. No, no, no. Directly from the source right here. Ask yourself, why is it when Africans speak of their experience, right? It's always this group of people that come and say, oh, no, 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 you don't understand. You don't understand. But yet you say your culture, hey, there could be some cultures, some parts of cultures is toxic. You might want to keep that within yourselves, the people that understand it. You do that. You cannot think that, oh, we're just making fun of people. What type of homes are these people coming from? What makes you think it's okay to go out and meet strangers, that you know nothing about? But you have to ask yourself, what is compelling this group of people that when they see or come in contact with people from Africa, African immigrants, they have to insult them? Why is that? This is what you have to ask yourself. You look at schools, even just on YouTube alone. This young man I'm about to bring here, he's a high school age. He's gonna tell us his experience. Yesterday, he was talking about his experience, and I heard some people trying to, you know, mislead him, talking about, oh, it's the same way in Africa too. No, no, no. Say Nigeria, because Nigeria, it's its own special place. Because the type of stuff those people were talking about and the things you guys are willing to do to each other, I was listening to everything. So a lot of things I encountered with people from Nigeria made a lot of sense to me. It made a whole lot of sense. I've seen, Nigerians do the grimiest stuff to each other or to other people right here. Right here. I've had my own dealings myself where, like it seemed like it's every single time. One time I rented I rented a base, it's a basement. This was many years ago when I was going to the 13th grade back in the days. So this Nigerian guy, we rented the place from. It was, a couple of us. He lives upstairs. So he told us that was his house, but he was renting it from, somebody else, a white woman, you know. So living at the place. So I go to work, come back when like the lights are cut off. I was like, excuse me? I was like, what is going on here? I said, am I tripping? So now, mind you, it was cold. I wanted to take hot shower, but I couldn't. So I went upstairs and confronted him about it. He was like, oh, the light bill is $3,000. I said, excuse me, 3,000? I said, I just moved here less than a month. Mind you, at this time, no, 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 no. No, it was within few months. I said, how did the light bill become $3,000? I said, man, I'm not about to pay that. He's like, come on, we're all brothers. We should put our hands together and pay this. I said, look, for a light bill to be $3,000, I said, this is back bill, man. You haven't been paying your bill. And it's true, he wasn't paying the bills. I don't know how he was able to get away with it for that long, but he was trying to pass it off as, this is our bill. Maybe he thought I was stupid or something. But long story short, I was like, no. So a couple of the roommates are from Senegal. But the Senegalese guy was able to scam the Nigerian. That's a whole different story. They got in a fist fight in front of me. I was coming from the shower. I only had towels on, so I didn't break the fight. I just watched. You see? And then I had another encounter with another Nigerian that, hired me, worked for him. He had a couple Nigerians there. They were new Nigerians in America, mind you. So this guy, he met these people at the church. He claims he's helping them, right? Because these guys cannot work in America, legally. But he said he's helping them. So he agreed to pay them each $20 an hour. But every single time he's paying them, somehow he does it the African style in Nigeria, where sometimes he pays them on time, sometimes he doesn't, So when he's paying them, he would scheme money off of it. He was collecting, I think every paycheck he would collect 150 from them. He said is tax. So One day the other Nigerian came to me and he asked me about how taxes work in America. So he I was like, what is going on? He told me the situation. I said, here's how you counter this. I said, tell him that. I said, he's not paying any tax, okay? I said, who is he paying it to? I said, but to avoid argument, just tell him that you spoke with your lawyer and your lawyer is going to file a TIN number for you. I said, because you can do that. I said, so tell him your lawyer is going to pay those taxes for you. So you want, you want to know that. I said, and also tell him that your lawyer would like to know the taxes he was collecting from you, if he can attach that to your this new TIN so you can report it to the IRS. I'm telling you guys, a very hot day here. So I'm over there. The guy showed up, the other Nigerian who owned the company. Now, this Nigerian confronted him nicely. He said, oh, I talked to my lawyer and I need a TIN number, and, he was using the right lingo. The guy looked in my direction, you know, like, this guy, you said something, but there's no proof that I said anything. Like I said, I offer free information to whoever is interested in it. Okay? I didn't charge the man a fee. But long story short, the guy started getting hot. You guys remember how Two Niger was getting? Trust me, I'm used to seeing that I saw that in real life. So a lot of the Nigerians I came in contact with, I mastered them. The moment you catch them in a lie, they would escalate their voice because they're trying to draw you, pull you into an argument. But now this is Nigerian versus Nigerian. So the other Nigerian already, the one I gave the answers to, see, this is the thing. When you have the right answers to things, you don't overreact because you know how things are gonna go. So kudos to him. He was calm, cool, collective. The guy raised his voice, acting, because at first he was like, let's go talk about it over there. He's like, no, let's do it right here in front of Afridamus. Let's do it right in front of him. The guy's like, look. And then he turns to me. He said, look here, Afridamus, let me tell you something about Nigerian people. You better stay away from Nigerian people. These Nigerian people are evil. The guy's like, well, what does that make you? Because you're Nigerian too. But this same guy, another time he hired me to do some work for him. And I did the work, right? Because the other guy already caught him in a lie. So his game was messed up. But to even look at it, like, he's already lowballing the guy at $20 an hour. But on top of that, he was taking money off of the guy. He didn't care. They are both from the same place. And another time he hired me, I did the work. The guy he gives me the envelope, the check was in it, and he didn't give me the whole amount. I called him on the phone. I said, look, man, I said, where's the rest of my money? Where's the rest of my money? He was like, well, he tried. This is why I don't respond to when they say, hey, my brother. When they say my brother, they're trying to pacify you, to pull you into all that BS. Don't my brother me. I need my whole check. He was like, oh, come on now, my brother. It didn't take you long to finish that job. That was an easy work for you. I said, so let me ask you. I said, so you're just gonna switch the agreement that we have because I finished the job fast? I said, you already told me you like what I did. So how are you gonna switch it? Even if I said whether I finish it in 2 seconds or 15 hours, what difference does it make? You gotta pay me what you agreed on paying me. He wants to act funny and stuff. And I didn't have time for all that. And I told him straight up, I said, look, man, I said, I saw you playing games with, your fellow countrymen. I said, I'm not those guys. I said, if you don't pay me, you're about to have a real problem. I said, and I assure you, you don't want that problem. I said, you do not want to have any problems with me. So you better pay up. Hey, long story short, he paid me. So I see the same behavior here online. That reminds me of all those situations. But now let's talk about what this bullying thing. Let's talk about that. I'm going to bring African Reacts. African React, can you hear me? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, thank you for joining me. So, yes, can you introduce yourself to the panel, to the people here?
Yeah, I'm African Reacts. I just make videos on anything that has to do with Africa that I'm interested in or I see on the web, and that's basically it.
Nice, nice. So, how old are you?
Yeah, I'm 17.
17. Amazing. This is great because did you know that you're the same age as my son? My son is 17 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really glad to see, how logical you are, how you have lots of wisdom. You're wise kid.
Uh-huh.
So, and yesterday I was listening to the conversation, not all of it, but I caught most of it that you guys were having. And I sent a link to St. James too to his email. I'm hoping he would join us here in a little bit. But the conversation was very interesting because I noticed a lot of people were trying to, somehow change your mind about things that you were talking about. Can you
Yeah.
walk us through, about like when you first came to? When did you first? How long have you been in America?
Um, I I think it's about 10 years, I'm not
Oh,
sure.
10 years. Oh, so since you were about 6, 7.
Yeah, 7.
Okay, okay. So African millennial said, Afridamus, I thought you were 27. No, I I am 73. But um, so so how did you how's your experience been since you came to America?
Yeah, I mainly went to school in the West, and over there you have refugees from Congo,
Yeah,
and my family used to have friends from Congo too, so I used to get with their kids and talk to them.
right.
And in the West, the state I was in, it was New Mexico,
Oh,
if
New
anybody knows.
Mexico. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
it's
familiar.
mainly Hispanics and white people over there.
Uh-huh. And
And
Indians, right?
yeah, and the Congolese and other refugees, when they went to school, their kids, they didn't have any problems. They used to just go to school like regular. But I recently moved to the Midwest, which is in Kansas, and
Kansas.
I met a few refugees over here, and it's like a horror story over here. There's like African girls getting stabbed in the bathroom and
And who
getting
is
picked on, all of
who
that.
so who is, you know, stabbing and picking on these African girls,
It's mainly Black Americans.
mainly Black Americans?
Yeah.
How has your experience been with Black Americans in that school?
In New Mexico,
What was your experience in New Mexico?
yeah, I didn't really meet many of them, but they were cool over there.
What
It
was
seems like
your relationship like with the Hispanics and white people over
it was
there?
good, but you have a few like racist ones here and there, but it was overall good. It wasn't like bad or anything.
So when you move to Kansas, it's a complete different story.
Yeah, you hear like horror stories over here from the kids.
Okay. So now when you started watch, when did you start getting into the YouTube thing, and what made you choose this sector, to like, what made you made this channel and call it African React?
Yeah, I used to see videos on Pan Africans, and I actually used to be a Pan African, but I'm no longer that.
Yeah, me
And
too.
then I came to the Midwest, and that's the stories I heard actually made me start this YouTube channel to speak about the truth, to voice other African kids' opinion who are going through that.
You know, it was interesting to hear when some of those people yesterday were saying to you, like when you talked about your you know your interaction with white people and it being more pleasant.
Yeah,
Did it go
yeah,
ahead?
I actually thought about it, and when that guy Nak Mizu was trying to tell me that white people fantasize over Africans,
Fetishize.
yeah, or fetishize over Africans, I thought about it and it came to my mind. If you take a white kid to an African school, they're gonna start touching their hair
Right,
too.
right,
Even in Kenya, my sister told me stories of Somali kids who are
right.
refugees over there. When they come in, the kids start touching their hair. So I thought about that, and his point doesn't make sense.
You see, it's like I said, you know, you're so full of wisdom. Same like my son. We're in a white area, mostly white area. So he is mixed, but we don't have that many blacks around. Even the other kids you see, they are mixed themselves, but there are a few blacks. They tend to be mostly Africans. He has actual, he has a friend, couple friends. They're actually black. These are not, they're nice kids. Obviously they came to the suburbs because their family want something nicer, right?
Yeah,
But I've never had to deal with that, with him, because I raised him to be an alpha. And I hear you're an alpha, what I call an alpha. He mostly had to deal with, the whiny, social justice warrior, white teachers, the females there. So
yeah.
I always come to the school and set them straight. But it's amazing how you're 17 years old, you are able to see all this, and when you voice it, you have grown men. How do you feel seeing like people supposedly grown men coming attacking you, saying they're attacking your looks, which is the same thing we've been talking about, but they denied it. And this person wants to be a part of your native country. How did that make you feel?
I mean, I don't care because if he goes to Kenya, the sumo wrestler, he's gonna see people that look like me. And I've noticed many Black Americans when you don't get along with them, they call you a monkey.
Yes,
That's part of it.
because
They think,
that's yes,
yeah,
because
at this point, I just think they think we look like monkeys because I've
right.
had that online multiple times.
Yes.
And I'm gonna
Yes.
make a video on it to combine all of it because they actually think we look like monkeys.
Oh, actually, Kwesi is here. Kwesi, I was actually trying to find out a way to contact you. I'm gonna drop the link for you because I want to get your take on here. I'm gonna drop this link right now, but this is just for Kwesi, because I saw where they try to dismiss his experience, and African react. How do you feel when you hear these adults, right? When you're talking about things, they start saying, "Oh, we are," they're like, "Oh, we are just joking." Like
I
we
mean,
are just joking.
it sounds childish.
And I'm glad that you also you caught on that. When whenever they disagree with you or you don't agree with them, they start calling Africans monkey, smelly, um,
Yeah.
booty scratcher, or go back to your poverty-ridden country. So hearing that, you being 17, right? And now you're seeing a group of people that you know um, calling Africans these names, thinking this is what Africans are, but yet they're the same people that they turn around and say it is white people that call them that. But your experience with white people, can you tell us your experience with white people? You know what? The people that were try, because you notice they try to flip things around saying, oh, African react like to be pet. But the thing is, you have so much maturity. Like you're more mature than the people that
Yeah.
can be your grandfather. It's like I like how you sit there and laugh. I'm the same way. Because I've had white people touch my hair, you know?
I mean, Africans do that. I don't get if you
Yeah,
take a
I know.
white
Even
person and you take them
Africans,
to
you're
Africa
right.
where they've never seen a white person, you'll see the kids start touching their skin, their hair.
You see,
So are they saying African kids like to fetishize white
no,
people?
that's what I'm saying. Especially because everything has to somehow turn into a sexual thing, or to say, oh, you don't know what the white people are thinking. Hey, we are all thinking things, right? But we go by what we see and how people treat you. And you're right about that. When a white person goes to Africa, the kids or other people, they want to touch the white person's hair. They they are curious about it, right?
Yeah, that's what the white kids do over here. So I don't
Yeah,
get how that's fetishizing.
right. I mean, I've had that. I've had white people touch my skin. You know, to me that wasn't weird because I've seen in Africa people would touch a white person's skin too, because they're curious, or they would want to touch the hair. I don't see anything wrong with that. You see?
Yeah.
Oh, we have St. James here. Let's bring St. James in too. Hey, St. James, unmute yourself.
Hey, hello, my brothers. Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, no problem, no problem. I was just, what do you think about the conversation that I'm having here with African Reacts and what you've heard so far? And St. James, introduce yourself to the people here. Let them. You're in the States, right?
Yes, I'm in the state of Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm in the Midwest, like African React,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just enjoying the conversation. When my little ones are speaking, I just like to listen because
Yes.
oftentimes we don't listen to them, and then when they go outside and they do something, we now want to talk about it. It's a good opportunity for him to talk about everything that he's doing. So us grown up, we can listen and see if we can, chime in and see what we can do to help.
Right, right. Because African Reacts, you said something about culture. You said African moms, like my mom. I was in here with my mom. Like I said, I'm a grown man, but um, so African moms would stop their kids from hanging out with mostly black kids. You touched on that. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, it's because there's some Black Americans on the and even Africans suggesting that Africans follow Black American culture, which is not healthy for kids if
Right.
someone has kids, which is going to lead them into the wrong path. So my parents, they warned me, and right now I'm in a good path in life. They don't even warn just Black Americans. If there's Africans who stay in like Hispanic areas, they even warn against Hispanics. So it's not like a hate. They say that we hate them because we don't want our kids to mingle
Look,
or
look. The thing is, they know that it's not hate. They know this because the me being an adult, understanding, I want what's best for my child. So they have to, these people that are getting mad and saying you're speaking hate, they should be asking themselves, okay, if you saying you're so great that that's why these people don't want to be with you, that's a compliment if they don't want their kids around your kids. Because even in Africa, kids that you know are prone to act a certain way, parents would tell their kids to stay away from them because there's a it's a cultural difference, and people don't want their children to adapt that culture because you can see the detriment of that culture. So being around white people, have you had these same difficulties? Have your parents ever told you stay away from white people?
no, they've never told me that.
Yeah. So yesterday when they were telling you that, oh, you don't know what white people are thinking, blah blah. Do you care?
No, I mean, as long as you have a good experience, it doesn't really matter. I mean, like if you just go to school and there's a bunch of white kids surrounding you, like they're curious, you're not gonna just be mad out of nowhere, and they're gonna
Yeah,
think what's wrong.
yeah, because the reason why I know and enjoy the conversation is because, like I said, my son is same age as you, and he goes to his school, which is majority white, um, from you know kindergarten. Before that, he's always been around white people. He's never ever been picked on by the white kids. He's just regular, like a regular kid there. The kids love him. He's there like nobody. He doesn't feel any different. I've never heard him even talk like that. He's just like a regular American kid. But I noticed that most kids, even the African kids that come from areas where it's majority black, they would have like a lot of self-esteem issues. Have you noticed that
Yeah,
with the Congolese and the Sudanese kids there?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because you like I said, you're 17 and you're already an alpha. So you're out here on YouTube schooling these grown men who are crying from the things that you're saying. I've heard even some of them, you know, insinuating threats, and which is crazy. But I also like how you know um, you spoke the truth to the African panderers on the panel. You put them in their place, and what you said to that woman, the crazy woman who was begging for African Americans to help her. You were right. You're 17 years old. You're already making more money than her. I bet you my son also makes more money than her, the way she
Yep.
sounds. Because I think I can kind of guess what type of job she probably has. It's not anything close to what, because the way she sounds obviously proves that, you know, um, she she's not. doing that too good because she has a victimhood mindset, and it's very hard to run into Africans that are doing well here to have that mindset. So this is why when we speak, it annoys and angers people. And I'm going to ask St. James this. I know the answer, but I'll ask it. St. James, why do you think when us Africans speak, the black people, they get triggered? What is that all about?
It has a lot to do with the honesty that come from us, right?
Right.
The things that we see, we can't sugarcoat things. It's like we have to be honest and upfront. So sometimes that honesty costs you, a friendship because
No,
we go by
but you
things
see,
that
St. James, I would never call that friendship because if you can speak the truth to somebody,
right.
you cannot be friends. But
Absolutely. It's like different people having different set of principles, right?
right,
So when people throw words, when you are having a conversations and people are telling you, oh, this is the principle, this is what we stand by. And you are like, I don't stand by those principles, right?
yeah,
Because these principles are flawed and and you don't go by that.
right,
So people get frustrated over that. I understand. And you said because I know a lot of Africans don't have good work ethic,
right,
combined with the low self-esteem, that becomes a problem in the United States.
right,
They tend to let everybody lecture them. They tend to
right,
let people dictate what they need to know, what they need to do, what you see what I'm saying? So
mm-hmm,
when you come across these kind of Africans and you want to tell them America is a little different, you can work on your low self-esteem. You see what I'm saying?
right,
You can overcome that instead of making statement in publics and thinking that all the Africans are the same. You it's not that. We can see your low self-esteem. Can you imagine Afrodamus, like when you first come to the United States and you are having a conversation with Gambians? Let's say you are sitting at a bar and somebody who's not from your culture, who's not Gambian, like come in. You tend to see some other people tend to listen to that person more.
right,
You know what I'm saying? That everything that you say, it could be true. But
mm-hmm,
if the guy says something, they would be like, okay, yeah, because the guy is not from your group, he's right.
right,
Because this is pandering. You
right.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because
speaking of pandering, right? Um, two Niger came on there, and the other guy, what's his name? He used some type of alias, but I know both of them are from Nigeria. So, St. James, the patterns that I've described, have you noticed that as well? And also another thing, to Niger, for some reason, he was animated and wanted to talk about what is going on in America. And honestly, I blame you guys for even listening to him because the guy is displaying toxic ignorance. The guy is beyond ignorant because he called Barack Obama an African. What he doesn't realize, he said, is black people loved him and blah blah blah. Does he think all the black people can make Obama win? And he talked about Ilhan Omar. Is Ilhan Omar the representation of every black person? It was Somalis and white people that voted for her. I think he probably think it's black people everywhere you go. You there are a few Africans in the US Congress. You guys can go look them up. Go look at what their constituency is, where they came from. It's nowhere close to where black people are. It is white people. These are white areas, and it is white people voting them, sending them to Congress. So when he was saying black people vote for African immigrant, that's not true. St. James, do you see them? Would you see black people voting in mass? sending an African immigrant to go represent them in the U.S. Congress?
To begin with, we don't even have a lot of those in Congress. So to make a statement about an African immigrant being voted into Congress is like, I don't see a lot. Even in my state, I believe we have one congressman who's Ethiopian, but he was born here. But we have a
Oh yeah, the one that yeah, I've seen that guy.
yeah, because those people, they rely on their own community, because we have
Right.
they rely on their own community. Oftentimes, it's going to be white liberals,
Right.
and and a few of other groups. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. Yeah. It's because I've seen some of these the African immigrants who became U.S. congressmen and women. They are not from areas where there's a lot of blacks there.
Nah, you don't stand any chance. To me, I haven't seen it, because in Africa, let's say you can, any state, like an immigrant that can make it that far. Even look at Obama. Obama had it because Obama rose to power, and even the blacks in Illinois did not even appreciate. If you can see, when he was a senator, state senator, black folks did not like him.
Right.
They did not like him. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so even
but
when he was campaigning, he was not known.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? It took him a lot of time to even garner the vote he needed.
No, because the white man, had to tell the black people to vote for him. That's when they did. Because you notice, whatever the white people approve, that's what they will go with.
I have to agree with that statement. Yeah, I have to agree with
anyone that the white people approve, that's who they go with. But St. James, we, seeing this, we observe all this, and you come on that panel, for instance, that woman, that Cameroonian loudmouth witch that came on there. And I like how you put her in her place, because I notice a pattern. It's like this Central African region towards like that equatorial belt, those people, they are quite different. I notice they are quite different. Their women are very violent, they have no shame. I notice they are the ones that would come on the internet, except with the hood, Black Americans that will try to attack men.
Absolutely. This is part of their culture, like I said, because my dad is no longer with us here, but he visited all this area. Growing up, when he came back, I still remember this conversation we had. He always tells me, like, wow, there is, he used to see a lot over there, but, I don't want to talk about it now.
Look, that's what I'm telling you. I have relatives that are in those areas. Okay. And everything they've been saying, things they've explained, I'm seeing the behavior. And even here in America, what is it that about the majority of the time Cameroonians you run into, they tend to exhibit the same behavior like that woman, or mostly, like Nigerians also would behave like it. No, you know what? Like two Niger and the other Nigerian, because you notice there's this Nigerian guy also. He calls himself Franklin. The guy calls himself black. He's attaching himself to the black culture. So even when we were in Africa, the people that would come to Gambia and pretend to be Black American, they are usually Nigerian. Why is that? Do anyone have an answer for that?
To be honest with you, I believe I'm still struggling to understand the behavior of certain people. It's like, because I like the idea of us coming together in order to have a better continent. I like the idea, but let's not pretend that we are the same.
Right.
So when I hear the word we, I get it's not like I'm offended. I'm like, You
Look,
know,
I laugh because I know when you hear we, that means, hey, I need to lay my hands on your identity or snatch your bank account.
yeah,
We is to pacify you. You know, that's what it is to pacify you.
it
But
is.
then you had an encounter with Kali Enigma. Can you walk us through with that?
This is very typical in America, right? Because this is very typical in America. As you may see, this is so my encounter with him is like this is real on the street. Like if you come at me that way, it's gonna be that way. We can't. There's no other way to do it. There's no other way to handle it. You know, we don't have to be violent, but we have to talk that way because that's part of their culture. And I was exhibiting that, trying to tell them, I've been here for a long time. I can do the things that you do.
Yeah, but have you noticed, St. James, when it comes for, you know, it is one thing, like you could be in America 5,000 years, right? But like white people, you could be, as long as you're US citizen, they treat you as such. But with the black Americans, when it comes to Africans, they don't want to respect your American citizenship. They expect you to go along with their culture because they put emphasis. Like yesterday, Kali Enigma said that. He's like, this is what our culture is. We pick on each other. So right then and there, okay, this is what you guys do, right? You said
Yes.
this is what you guys do, and even the Nigerian guy comes. He said they also they do, you know, your mama jokes and stuff. Where I come from, we didn't do that.
You don't put my mom's name in your mouth if you never ate my food in my house.
Yeah. So
You don't, it's a
they
no
don't.
go.
Yeah,
It's a no go.
they don't understand. Like, okay, like for instance, I'm not gonna see people just because they are black and I assume anything. Is that, you know, it's like I don't is lack of culture, not understanding who you are. Because you know, in America, fatherlessness is a big thing, and I see a lot of that being exhibited, where a lot of lost souls that, you know, see people, they're like, oh, because no such thing as African culture. We know this. No, it's not like all Africans have the same culture. So you touched on, because this guy was saying they make fun of each other, that's what they're about, and you said, look, that's not what my culture is. Like they try to downplay it.
Yeah, it's like it depends on how much fun, if you say you make fun of people and this is part of your culture, what is it? Where is the boundaries, right? It's like you can allow somebody to disrespect you. And if I don't come from your culture, right? I try to understand things that you do in your culture.
Right.
And who's the referee to tell you that, oh, listen, you were going a little too far. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So at my place of work, back in the day, some people may come at you a little bit disrespectful, but you look at it like, okay, that's cool. We can handle that part. We don't look at it like it is your culture. You look at it like this is something I can deal with. It's not a problem. But when it comes to certain things and you feel like, oh, you know what, you shouldn't go there, and you're trying to tell that person, this is foul, and that person is telling you, hey, this is my culture, you have to accept it. And I can also tell you, in my culture, if things go that far, this is how it's going to be.
Yeah.
So, so
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
to
because the thing is, he put emphasis on his culture, right? Totally expecting other
complete
people, yeah,
domination of my
people,
culture.
yeah, yeah. So he expects you to just be like, oh, like your culture don't matter, whatever. But the thing is, when people come to America, smart person, like we assimilate, to the good part of the American culture. I don't come and try to impose what I know to be my culture whatsoever. I keep that, to myself. I don't like, even you, we're both from, the same coast, the same areas, but our cultures are different. you know I'm not gonna impose that on you and then you tell me, nah, hey, look, we don't roll like that. But you're like, come on, you need to understand, this is what our culture is. But what one thing may be right in your culture is completely wrong in other people's culture. One thing might look, good in your culture, in other cultures, they are degenerate behaviors. But this, a lot of these people, they don't seem to understand that they are not able to think outside of themselves. It's like they are so, they are wrapped up, because you notice when they have conversations with other people, like white people, for instance, when the people point out, they say culture, it's a cultural difference, because that's what I see also. It's not skin color in America, it's cultural difference, you know. So you notice they come and talk to an African, when an African speaks of, hey, look, you did this and this, that's wrong. They're like, that's our culture. But when white people point out that their culture, then they say that's racist. But they are constantly pointing out their culture, and people are responding saying, no, I don't want to be a part of this. This here is offensive. But they are saying they don't want to change it. They just say, adapt to my culture. That's what I was hearing yesterday. And when you heard two Niger trying to convince African reacts that, oh, this is just kids, having fun, what did you make of that?
Well, as you can see, African React said some African got stabbed, right? Is that true, right? Is it
African
true?
react.
Yeah, that's true.
So okay, now okay, we can sit here and believe this is not real. If kids are being stabbed and they're
Let me tell
fighting in school, people get hurt. So
well, not only
how can
that.
we say these are kids? How can we say these are kids? Yeah, they're kids, but you look at what they're doing to each other. You know,
um,
over nothing.
Mimi, Mimi said, but Afridamus, Soninke is from Mali area who migrated to Gambia, so your culture will be similar to St. James. Me and St. James already talked about that. I know that. St. James, she's trying to remind me that,
Right. There's a
how,
lot of similarity there.
yeah, no, we've already talked about that, actually, from Ouagadougou, so, that Mali area. So you're right about that, Mimi. But also, one of my cousins used to live here in the States, right? Worked hard, saved up his money. He opened up a store, fashion store. This is, it's a mixed area, but mostly black area. So when he opened up his store, within weeks, some black people came there. Some guys, they want him. They said he has to pay protection fee, whatever that is. He said, no, he's not gonna pay anything. You know what they did? They came with a truck. Another time attached, some. I mean, I don't know. They ripped the door off. Ransacked the entire store. Man, that completely broke him down. Completely. My other cousin, he got sent to the federal prison because, again, a black person that befriended them was coming to their mosque, praying with them. He tried to set up my cousin with a gun. He set up the Gambian people there that come in the community, because they invited him into the community. He was coming to the mosque there, but I never was going to those places. They came one morning, early in the morning, kicked in my cousin's door. They arrested him. They arrested all those Gambians, and that black person came to, this is their friend supposedly. So I'm not talking about things that didn't happen. These are anecdotal things that me myself, I'm aware of, how they robbed, the African store. My other cousin, that I know, his distant cousin was living in Chicago. Two of them, him and his brother, they both got killed there. They both got shot, killed by black people. Alabama, I know a couple of Gambians there that got killed by black people. So when we hear white supremacy, you say white supremacy, I think, you're saying those are the ones posing danger because you're black. But all these people I'm talking about that got killed are killed by black people. Not that long ago, like last year, this is few months ago, it's less than a year ago. This Ethiopian kid that my son knows, he told me about him. He hangs out with the black kids, the black area. He got killed. So you can see, why wouldn't African parents want their children to go around people that are willing to do that? So just like, like Cali Enigma, what you told him is actually true. It's actually true. Oh, what happened to Rasmois? Rasmois, come back.
Yeah, Rasmus should pull up, man.
Rasmois, so what happened to you? Come back, Rasmois.
How about FBA Nigel? How about FBA Nigel? He's very, he's very active in the chat. Well, how about FBA Nigel?
Yeah, in fact, I'm gonna put the link in, and people can come in, but I'm not gonna do the big panel one at a time, people. So, and we keep it civil here, and you can agree to disagree, but you have to state your case in a rational manner, because as you can see here, even the young man, 17, so poised, so calm, cool, and collective. And St. James, you had a little running with that Cameroonian witch. Can you speak on that a little bit? Because she wants to belittle Africans for speaking about their experience, because that's how I see it. Because she's telling us her son has a Black American friend that's nice. My son has one too, but that doesn't mean that that's always the case. We're talking about as a collective. And like Kali Enigma himself said, he said to you, this is their culture. He said their culture is a bullying culture. This is what he said. And not everybody is going to allow you to bully them. I wouldn't call it a run-in, but he had a emotional breakdown on me one day, because he was, for some reason, he feels like he need to raise his voice and use some threatening words, because he's like, I get in people's face, I get in white people's face, blah, blah, blah. St. James, you and I know that's not true.
Nah,
right?
You can't. Nah. You will be dropped. You will be dropped.
Exactly.
You will be dropped.
Yeah. So he started saying that, getting loud. He was getting into it with other Africans, getting upset. I wasn't upset. I just waited till it was my turn to speak, and I let him know, hey, you like getting in people's face. I hope you don't mind people returning the favor. Because whether I'm in China or wherever, I don't care about what your culture is, but you're not about to come and display that in my face. Because if you like getting in people's face, I would think it's a bad idea to do that to everyone, because it's not going to go well.
And Apadamus, in our settings and back home in Africa, we know the fighters. We know those who can fight. We know those who can't fight.
Right.
So we don't even pick on the one who can't fight.
Right.
Unless you are new to the neighborhood and they want to try you, we already know it's already been settled for a long time.
Right. That's the
so
but that's in a male culture, where fathers are present. But these guys, they behave like women, because you look at Brandon, a grown man, right? He said he want to go to Kenya. He calls himself Kenyan. But when he didn't like what a 17-year-old Kenyan said, he went straight for what? He attacked Kenyan people's appearance, because if majority of the Kenyan, he looks like him, but you're attacking the Kenyan's image. What does that, what did you make of that?
It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny that you have to go on the attack, right? You can't
Right.
attack. You have to learn. You have to. He's 17. He's from Kenya, and you have interest in that regions. Why don't you call in, or why don't you take his number and try to see if you guys can have a private conversation?
Right.
That's what I would have done. You see what I'm saying? So we can, because he's Black American, and that kid is Kenyan, but he lives in the United States. He could have done better than just take off on him. I didn't like it. Even when you watch that video yesterday, there was another guy over there, African guy, that I don't have a problem with. He came in and he was like, okay, if we can't get along with African American, you need to pack and go home. I'm like, God damn.
We have one here, Johanna. He said, stop moving here, your poorer selves over here. So again, that's what I'm saying. So when you speak of your experience, having a better experience with white people, they say, oh, you're Uncle Tom, right? But white person will not say to you, you need to, like these things they are saying, white people wouldn't say that. But this is the same people who would cry, right? They say, oh, you don't understand our trauma, our plight. But children's trauma is caused by their parents. If you say your trauma is this, what makes you think that whatever you're going through, I'm gonna understand that, or if I've never experienced it, and I'm seeing completely something completely different, because they were trying to tell African React that, oh, we understand your pain in what you went through, but he never said he went through pain. And they try to say he hates Black Americans. He doesn't hate them. They because St. James, can you elaborate on where we come from? Are people afraid to speak the truth to one another?
Absolutely not.
Does that mean you hate them?
There's no hate in there. We always speak. We don't even have a tradition where we don't even speak to one another, even as grown men, and we don't understand. We get into a situation where we have to fight.
Right.
Most of the people that are fought in my country, we became best friends.
Exactly. St. James, this, like you said something there, because they say they come and pick on Africans, right? And they don't understand why you're getting away with it, because Africans don't want to get deported or something. But where we come from, you said something which is true, which even in school, you want to talk all that tough talk, I will see you at 2:30.
Yeah, we got that in us, man. We got that.
I'll see you at 2:30.
Yes, we have that in us, and it has to be controlled. So when you get there, you have to do something. But in America, you are muzzled, right? You are in a box. You can't move. So you're gonna have to express yourself differently. You're gonna learn how to move differently. So
and since also white, if you're white and you're in this, watching this here, we need to hear from white people as well. What your interaction with Africans have been, whatsoever. You can call in. Anyone can call in. So we have King Mayonnaise here. King Mayonnaise, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on the show. So go ahead.
So everything you've heard so far, and I'm assuming you're an American, right?
Yes.
Okay. Are you white or Black?
White.
Good. So, can you tell us, like everything you've heard, have you ever, seen or heard where, you know, American or mostly, because we're talking Black American, like belittling or picking on Africans?
Yeah, growing up, it's very common, extremely common to be actually in school, and it actually carries on beyond school, but mostly it's in school.
Right.
Yeah, and basically, just to clarify that, is that when kids are picking on other kids because they're African, it's mainly because their country of origin, because
Right.
they're different.
Right.
They don't dress the same, maybe. Their parents don't act like your parents. The kid is very well mannered. You're not. There's a lot of envy, a lot of jealousy, depending on what they're looking at in that kid. American parents are not correcting their children on how to behave and not bullying their kids for the most part. So I grew up in that community. I used to bully kids, and where I grew up, mostly it was Vietnamese, because at the time there was big Vietnamese migration in the late 70s, early 80s in Southern California. And so basically we used to pick on them all the time. There wasn't that many Africans at the time, but if there was, we'd pick on them too. But mainly the ones who initiated that when it came to the Africans were Black Americans. When it came to
Right.
the Vietnamese kids, it was just mainly anybody. And what I have found out over the years, especially with the Vietnamese, because it helped me to realize it, is that the parents, because of the Vietnam War, the parents would complain about them all the time at home, right?
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, the kids would hear the complaining, so the kids would go out and start bullying the kids.
Yes. Yes. Because trust me, I see, being a parent, I know that, the fruit don't fall too far from the tree,
Right.
because what you say around your kids, what you socialize about them, how you feel, you know um your kids are your representation out there. They are going to exhibit that.
Right.
If you're an angry person, have no patience for your kid, no manners, you don't teach them well, you hate everybody, they are going to go out and exhibit that.
Right. Just
Because
like Mimi says, generally America is a bullying country, which is true. And
right.
what a lot of these kids are doing is when they listen to the parents, they think they're doing something for the parents by going out and bullying the, within their age group, not really understanding, because they weren't being taught that, this could get you in trouble. It could possibly get your parents in trouble. Because I could tell you right now, some of the things that we used to do to the Vietnamese kids, we used to throw water on them. Occasionally they get beat up, stuff like that. I was never into that, but there were a few kids that were into doing that. But they would come out with their parents and come out with sticks and bricks and you name it. They're just ready to battle. And
Yes.
then your parents would have to come out. And I remember a couple different times in my neighborhood, the police had to come. But get back to the point of African kids, it's no different.
Yeah, but here we're talking grown-up Africans too.
Yes.
You're seeing, even just only even online, you've seen people who say, they're Pan-Africanists. They say they love Africa, they love Africans, right? But you hear how they feel about Africans. Is that
Right.
same mentality? Because it's
I,
like,
I have to get going. I hate to interrupt, but I want to make a quick correction to Female Beta Academy Nigel.
who?
Female Beta Academy Nigel, FBA.
Oh,
So basically, I'm going to make a correction. Back in my generation, there were African kids. So I don't know what lie you got that from, but there were African kids even in the 60s, before my time. So
oh
whoever
yeah.
you're
I
hearing
mean,
that from,
he doesn't know what he's talking
right.
about. I've met Africans who are from that area. They were born there, so that means their family immigrated way before then.
Right.
So they're from the Los Angeles area.
But I gotta get going. Thanks
Okay.
for having me on. I'll
Thank you
come in
for
again.
coming.
You're welcome.
All right. So St. James, you talked with that Cameroonian woman, right? And what is it about her that made you, remind her of her status being different from, let's say someone like you or other people, other Africans in this country?
Basically, the difference that I was showing is that it was about how we all got here.
Right.
We got here in different status.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? I'm not saying I'm above or I'm below, but I'm like, we got here in different status. You can't lump us in because you went through certain things that I did not go through.
Right.
And I'm trying to explain to you, if it is about Africans, you're gonna see Africans here in all walks of life, and the way she was talking about, she was like, us African, we. I'm like, no, you, this is America. You gotta talk about yourself. I don't know what type of community you live in. I don't know what type of success do you guys have over there. The people that I hang out with over here in my state, we don't move like that. You see what I'm saying? So when you
Right.
talk about taking lessons out of somebody else's book, because you have to tell me, because you don't know me, you don't know what I have been through, you don't know what my people have been through, you don't know what we are about. So you can't sit here and say that we have to take lessons. You see what I'm saying?
That's why even like when the Nigerian guy was talking about, oh, in Nigeria, do that with the kid, you could, after school you could die. I mean, where I'm from in Gambia, you're not gonna get killed. You're gonna get in a fight, but like, like I was like, okay, so it's not, the area is like the American hood, where you see what I'm saying. So that's why it's important to point that out, that not all Africans are the same, or areas are all the same, where people, like, what, you just in a school fight, you kill somebody. No, you're just gonna get your ass handed to you, and you learn to respect the person. Because you see, when men, if you are raised by, real men, because men know there's consequences for things. You don't just go running your mouth to people, because like, at pretty quick the conversation would be over. Because I don't know what makes some of these people think they can just go out and be disrespectful to people. Because St. James, you and I know this, and African Reacts is here too. He knows this, even though he's only 17. He knows that. St. James, have you to tell a Black American that they look African majority? How do you think they would?
Tell that to a woman. Tell that to a woman.
That's what I'm thinking.
They won't like. If you tell that to them, they would feel like they're not beautiful. That's my own opinion. I don't know if that's true, but I have a Jamaican friend here. Her name is Khadija, right? By Khadija, you may think she's African, like but she's Jamaican. When I first met her, she was telling me, you know what? I was bullied in school because they thought I was African. She told me that. I was like, wow. Because when they called her name, Khadija, everybody thought, Khadija, yeah, she's African. And she struggled a lot. I was like, wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, I noticed that, like, Africans, that majority that live in like with their children in these Black areas, their kids would develop low self-esteem, not confident. But
Absolutely.
if they live in white area, they do way better.
Absolutely. Because this is taught, right? In your household. Like, because yesterday when she was talking, I was trying to figure out, where does she come from? Because this is the first thing you have to address as an African when you come here in the United States, to be having a low self-esteem, because this is gonna go with you everywhere you go, even at your place of work. You see what I'm saying? You're gonna go
Right.
through interviews. If you can't look people in the eyes and talk to them, you might not even get to that part. You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
we can build that. I understand it, because that's why I want you to talk about it. I was frustrated because I was like, you know what? I came here ready. I came here in America ready, knowing exactly what I need to do.
Yeah,
I was
what she was saying, I couldn't
right.
relate.
We can't
But
relate.
I'm listening. I said, okay, it's one thing we talk about the situations, but you sound like, like you're
Defeated.
you're incompetent. So you need to be working on yourself,
Thank you.
instead of
Thank you.
trying to say, and you see, if you notice that, like her, she would never learn anything because she's she's assuming all Africans are incompetent like her. You see?
Yeah. Yeah, the assumption is very wrong because like I said, when you are around people that don't have success, they have nothing to show for, you will tend to believe all Africans are the same. So if you hang around with Africans who have low paying jobs, most of them,
Right.
because I talk to Africans here, so a lot of Africans who have low paying jobs. I'm not
Yeah.
disrespecting them.
No, I
And
know. Trust me, I've seen them
right.
too.
And I'm like, okay, boy, bro, you can do better than that. You see what I'm saying? I
Right.
can help you. You can overcome this. It doesn't have to be that way. You can't stay in one job for 10 years. You can't make progress, and you're talking about you are doing overtime.
Yeah.
This is slavery.
I know.
So when they choose to listen, and they see what I'm doing, you see what I'm saying? They will see progress from them for themselves.
Yeah. Well, that's what some people, because they try to switch it to like as if you know um you were being foul or making fun of her, but she opened that door. And even your conversation with Kali Enigma, they read you like Mr. Uganda read you what he wrote, but then they feel like, oh, you shouldn't respond. But if they don't want you to respond, they should have never read you what he wrote. You see?
Yeah,
But
he goes way back. You remember we were on the Fang Tribe live one day. He was there with
oh
Nakmizi.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You remember? So I don't know the dude. Never had any problem with him. But I felt like, okay, you feel like if you're being triggered, right? You're being triggered about certain things that Africans are saying. Come respectfully and we can have a conversation. We're grown people. But when you come here and try to be like, okay, if you don't want to be with us, nobody never said we don't want to be with you. We here
Yeah,
in America, so we have to deal with
but
everybody.
but that's what I'm saying. What is that? Like, it's like this low self-esteem. Like, dude, if you want to interact with a group of people, we're all here online, right? We can talk. You can talk about what you exchange ideas, but it's like, I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but it's like a slutty girl in the neighborhood that is trying to, have people take them in. Please take me, take me. It makes people, it's like, okay, wait a minute. Why are you begging to be with me? Or when we are like, you're hanging out with a girl for a little bit, you guys talking, all of a sudden she start feeling upset. She's like, oh, you don't even love me. If you love me, you would marry me. You're like, wait a minute, where's this coming from? Like, what the, you see what I'm saying? That's what it sounds like. And I was enjoying the conversation because it's like you're talking to a broken child. Like, you don't know these people from anywhere. Like, why do you're in America? We're all in America. We're living in this American culture. But if you're assuming that because you have your own way of doing things, other Americans have their own way of doing things. Hey, you don't have to do what I do. You don't have to like what I like, and vice versa. You see? Vice versa. But somehow, they just get into conflict. And another thing, what's his name? African fan, another very toxic individual. So she wrote in the chat, she was trying to create issues. Like I said, there are, especially some of these Africans who are not even in this country. I don't know why you guys even waste your time listening to what they are saying. But she wrote in the chat that trying to start problems, saying, oh, St. James called me and he said something about Mr. Uganda and African millennial. Did you ever talk to her on the telephone?
Now, I would hope that she's listening. I hope that she's listening, and if she can listen later. We never spoke on the phone. Never, ever. I never spoke to her about nobody. If she has any record to produce, I would hope for her to do that. I don't talk behind people's back. This is not how I was brought up. If I have a problem with you, I have a problem with you. You will notice it because I will take my distance and I won't talk to you anymore and until we address it. That's what I would do. Fang is, we try to do something together because, for the betterment of being on YouTube. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
If that works, that work. If that don't work, everybody can go their own way. I still respect her. I like I respect what she's doing. I have no problem there. But when you put my name in your business, like, I mean, come on now, don't do that. Don't do that.
That's because the conversation you guys were having, it's more an American problem, and the people that wanted to discuss this don't live in America.
So, like you said, you are correct. Like you said, for me, I don't. If it is an American problem or something, I'm not going to participate, because if you are saying things that we can't correct, I'm telling you this is what's happening over here, and you keep telling me what you've seen on TV or what somebody else told you. I hope that we don't get to those things anymore, because it's a waste of time. It is a waste of time.
And African React he gave his account of what he see, his experiences being around other people, and they try to downplay it. These are grown men. They try to downplay it, or like Brandon, attacked his looks, right?
Did he do that? Where did he do that? On his own channel, right?
No.
He even made a super chat.
He made a super chat so that people can see this. So further proving our point. And the fact, because even like Nagnizi said something, he said maybe there's tension because black people think the Africans on the West Coast sold them. So how can all the Africans sell them? Wasn't it Africans that got sold into slavery?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how many times we're gonna have this conversation though? I mean, it's like
but what I'm saying, where's the so you mean the Africans, right? Yeah. Okay, who's to say if slavery wasn't abolished, right? Who's to say the people you pointing fingers at and say the Africans that remained, those are the ones that sold us? But in fact, there were slave ships that were captured of Africans who were taken back and put back, like the place called Freetown and other places, even Gambia, and left them there, so that they wouldn't bring them to Brazil because they were still enslaving people.
I mean, there was also slavery in East Africa, not just the West with the Arabs and all of that. So
yeah, so I was like, wait a minute, okay, so you're saying that, okay, are you saying if slavery had continued ongoing, the people you're pointing fingers at wouldn't somehow end up in it too? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, we will all be here by now.
Exactly. We would all be here by now. Exactly. And but like I said, I listen to everything that when I get a chance, I sit there, I listen logically. this is why when I speak, like many people, they get upset, but they cannot respond to the things I'm saying because they don't want to talk about the truth. They want to pull you into a completely different direction. For example, some was saying, oh, we got to mentor this young African React. I mean, his parents already mentored him. He's doing just fine. You see, for instance, that's just like somebody telling my son to mentor him. I don't need any stranger, trying to do that. I've had even in his school before, where they try to have people come and say, oh, mentoring the kid. I said, why would he need a mentor? He's got a father. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. So sometimes the theatrics on YouTube is fun to listen to, right? It's just the theatrics of it. If you take that part out of it, maybe it may make sense. but
FBA Nigel said he's funny. He said Afridamus is well, he said, I don't know anything about. He's saying that I have resentment. He said Afridamus has resentment for not being shipped over during the transatlantic slave trade. That's actually funny. He's crazy. But this is it's a conversation that is, people need to have, because not only on YouTube or real life, you see this even in Black entertainment. You see it in Black entertainment. For instance, have you seen the movie Friday, the Friday series?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Written and directed by a Black person. But did you see the part there they gave to Africans?
Yes,
as a clown chewing on the CD.
Yeah. There was a part where he was wearing sandals with open toe sandals.
Yeah. but you see, the thing is, St. James, we are able to, to just laugh about that, because it's amazing to see how, African React can make this grown man get triggered. Like they get triggered and completely lose it.
Yeah, that's true.
He even speaks about me. He's all like on a video saying that kid sitting on the chair. I'm like, I'm not even watching his lives, and he speaks about me on his lives.
Yeah, and if you notice, I didn't say to try to even say, oh, he's 17. No, because you are holding your own really well. You're standing up for yourself, and you don't even waste your time into the arguments. I like how when Brandon came, he went out of his way to super chat thinking he's insulting you, and just know when somebody's like that, thinking they're insulting you, just look at it as, he's the one with the issues. It's inner conflict going on there, because the person you're trying to insult didn't receive it as an insult at all, which was funny. And another movie of Ice Cube's, which is Barbershop. You see the role they gave the African.
Yeah, I seen that part. It was funny though, but I was like, the guy, he couldn't even pull the girl, man. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm telling you. So that's why when I see like Black people, they pretend to say, oh, they gave them this role, blah blah blah. I'm like, what? I'm like, look at the type of role you give, quote unquote African people, or somebody to play African. Every opportunity seems like it has to be, some sort of, unimportant role, laughing at the African. And like we laugh about it because we're like, hey, Michael Blackson, get your money, even though he didn't get paid much in that movie, but it's funny to us. But they get offended by things like that. You see, like right now, we're speaking about what is factual, but people like Johanna, he keeps saying, we hate black people. So he doesn't care about everything we said here. It's hate. And if you think about it, like he should be questioning himself. Why is it that they jump quickly to hate? Because when someone says things, the last thing I come to my mind, I don't say you hate or whatever. I mean, until you say it, if you say I hate this person, but I wouldn't interpret it as whatever you do is hate. You see?
Yeah, I struggle to understand that part as well. I mean, it's been used a lot of times. The hate, the jealousy, what else? It's
Miko said, Afridamus Brandon even admitted he's been in many fights with random strangers, even as an adult. I'm not surprised.
Let's be honest over here, man. We ain't trying to take some shot.
Huh?
Like I told you, like I said before, if you fought in your life before, we can know. If you ever fought, it's not.
Well, that's the thing, like, men grow up and, because you don't want to act like a boy throughout your life. You grow into becoming a man. When you become a man, you don't go fighting people. You become civilized. But if it's necessary, it will happen.
Yeah, like what I was trying to do yesterday. I was just trying to showcase my culture, part of my culture. That's it.
well, I think I was very familiar with how you showcased it, because I mean, two can play that game. It's like you look at like some of the people that come here, some of these cultures, do you honestly want them to exhibit their culture here in America? Like, for instance, like when Mayonnaise King came here and talked about how Vietnamese people get picked on here. Let's be real. You think these people in the hood that are picking on the Vietnamese, if all bets are off, like real war, do you think they have a chance against those Vietnamese people? Let's just keep it real. We see what those people can do. People see it. Oh, you have people from cultures where they blow stuff up. You want everyone to come here and showcase their culture? It's not gonna go well. So this is why people have to understand other people. This is America. People are here to assimilate to mainstream American culture and live their life the way they want to. People have freedom of speech, the First Amendment and the Second Amendment. You see, everyone is entitled to that here in this country. Everyone has that right. But what people cannot do is insult and belittle people and then not expect them, to talk about that experience. I mean, even they should be happy. People are willing to talk about this. Don't you think?
I'm sorry, I did not pick that up.
I said, shouldn't they be happy that people are even willing to talk about this, to say, hey, this is not cool?
Absolutely. When you talk about anything, that means you want resolutions, the best outcome. If you don't talk about it, there's going to be problems all the times, because they can see it, they can look at it like I said yesterday. This dude came across like, okay, this is our culture. We ain't changing anything. So get with it or F you,
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, we are talking about it because we want to connect. It's not like we are forced to, we want to force you to understand us, because oftentimes you are the one saying that Africans don't like you.
Well, look at like this guy saying, I've seen Ugandans wanting their children to stay away from us. You guys just hating. You should be asking yourself, why are people, even not only strangers that come to America, white people that you've been with here for hundreds of years, they're saying the same thing.
And
Like you should be asking yourself, what is it that you're doing that people are telling their children to stay away from you?
there's Africans who actually let their children mingle with Black Americans, and there's some who have actually sent their kids back to Africa for rehabilitation, if you want to call it that.
I
And then they
know.
told their kids, "You'll come back after you finish high school."
I've I'm well aware of Africans like that. You know, you look at the woman in the Gambian woman in New York. Did you guys remember? I did that news here. The lady that got killed by her son.
Yep.
Which one?
She, the Gambian woman, she got shot in the head.
Yeah.
So think about it. That woman, if she had paid attention, spent time with the, into her children, and not just let them hang out with just whoever, or send them to Africa and rehabilitate them, she would have probably still be alive. Because
Yeah,
normally,
most of the parents that I know here in my state here, they're beginning to send their kids back home so they can get the high school degrees before they get back to the state. You
yeah,
know, yeah. I believe that's the best approach, because if you come here, if you get your degree, your high school degree in Africa, and then you come here for university, you're gonna do well.
right,
You're
because
gonna do well.
you're able to have that discipline, and you can just be here. You can be in the in this world, but not of it, because you, you wouldn't be into all that entertainment stuff that distracts you. Because you notice in America, it's like entertainment is at the top of the list. So even though they have the schools, but the parents who are not paying attention, putting emphasis on entertainment, it just goes left. So yeah, the African idea is great, but African react. Since you are 17, um, do you go to Kenya often?
Yeah, prior to the COVID-19, I used to go during the summer.
Oh, okay. So about 18 months.
Yeah, I actually have land over there.
What?
Yep.
You you're 17, you already have land?
Yeah, I'm planning to manufacture some stuff.
That's beautiful. So so the Pan-Africanists are showing, they are talking about all this. You're 17 years old. You actually have your own land in Kenya already.
Yep.
So how do you feel when you hear this grown man who could be your grandfather at times saying they're gonna come, they are bragging about owning a land there?
It doesn't really make sense.
Huh?
And most of them just go there and do nothing. They don't, I don't get this building stuff. They don't build anything. There's no manufacturing plant, nothing. And they're actually distracting some Africans online with
Right,
that.
right.
And there's Africans actually pandering to that and thinking they have less, or they need Black Americans to come save them. So it's just a whole mess.
You
And
know,
for Africa to get out of this situation, we're gonna have to start manufacturing our own stuff.
exactly. You see, so I want to touch on this here before we leave. You guys, I'm sure, I don't know if you guys have seen me on the Kinganda channel.
Yep, I saw that one.
What did you guys think about the conversation when I said some places in Africa the white people left prematurely, but they need to be recolonized?
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Exactly. You see, I mean, if you look around, because think about that woman, that loud witch that came there. Think about where she come from. People thinking like her. A majority of them, I'm sure they think that way. Why don't they need to be colonized?
It's yeah, that need to be talked about, right? Some
Right.
people are gonna get offended because by just listening to it, they will be like, oh yeah, we want white people to come back in Africa. That's not what we are talking about here. There's certain behavior, like for me, I look at it like we are at the African Union together, right?
Right.
For some reason, we are there together. So, and did you ever ask yourself why there is no progress? We don't see any progress.
I know the answer.
Right. So I already know. I also know the answer, babe, because when they first started talking about Pan-Africanism, I was like, you know what? We need to scratch these things and get back to from square one and decide if we even want to be together because this look fake.
Exactly. Mimi said, "You drag us Gambians." No, Mimi, you know, you know some of the stuff I explain, but I'll talk about that another time. I'm not dragging. I'm trying to give Gambian people the red pill. That's you gotta wake up. People gotta wake up. We can't just keep it to ourselves. You know, I mean, shoot, we got a president, quote unquote president, who sleeps in meetings. You see, somebody has to point this out, right?
Yeah, your president sleeps in meeting. Look at the AU. Some president sleeps in meetings. They just want to fly there and fly out. That's it. You see what I'm saying? So that's why when you hear the we, you get offended because we can be united if those are the things that we are showing. It's not possible.
Right. It's really refreshing and great to see, African reacts. A young 17-year-old African, who has a great mind. He has so much wisdom at a young age. Young man, you are well on your way. Don't listen to, people acting like they want to mentor you. You're at 17, you are at a position, and you put yourself in a position, and the way you think, you are the one mentoring these people because they're trying to get to your level.
Yeah.
You realize that, right?
Yeah, and for the Africans who are pandering to Black Americans, they don't actually realize they're begging for a broke colonizer to come in.
African react. Let me ask you a question, right? Like Africa must say, you're 17.
Yeah.
I'm a little older than you. How do you pick those things? The pandering, the low self-esteem. How do you pick those things at 17?
I mean, you just see it. You just hear it in their voice. Like that guy, Tu Niger, he's pretty much begging for broke colonizers. Because of skin color, that doesn't make them a colonizer. That's pretty much begging for colonization. Like, come help us. You can buy out everything as long as Africa rises. You guys just come. Might as well tell China to come in and take everything so they can build it for you because you're begging the wrong colonizer. They're not gonna. Africans are gonna have to build Africa themselves.
Exactly.
Okay, let me ask you another question. If you are calling someone, right? There is one thing to call someone, and there is another thing when that person tells you, and I'm not coming. And you keep calling. What does that make you?
A beggar. They're just begging for colonization, but the colonizer is a broke one. They don't have a nation. They can't do anything.
I have said this before, and it's funny that you repeated it. Because it's like I have never seen where a group of people are trying to beg the people that they want to colonize to say, please accept us. I mean, if you're a colonizer, just colonize, you know. What do you, St. James? You know, you really triggered that woman, and this is Africa. Sorry, Africa React. How did you know that you made more money than that loudmouth witch?
I mean, by the way she talks and she got on camera, you
You
just
can
know.
tell, huh?
Yeah.
And
No, African react. I have another one for you. In your culture, right? The men's are doing the talking, right? When it comes to certain things.
Yeah.
So when the women is up front begging for you, what does that make you?
Um, I
a
don't really have
baiter.
a
Your
beggar.
own women's, they don't trust you. They're telling you, listen, we have to wait, we call someone else.
Yeah, you know,
That's
that's
iffy, I
funny.
guess.
This is why do you guys, you see, like, you see Mimi here, Njemenjai, all of them. These are women from Gambia. Do you see them, you know, trying to come here and attacking other men, or speak, you know, speaking on behalf of the Gambian men? No, it's already a Gambian guy here,
Mhm.
man, talking. So
No,
so
after
they,
that, you should ask all the ladies that are listening, ask them that question. If you guys are going to be doing the begging for us, that we need help, how does that make us? Because I can't answer that.
well, let me. I'm gonna drop the link and have some of the women that think they should be the one doing the begging for the Africans to, you know, join us one at a time here. Hopefully, Mimi would hit the link this time. But that's what she was doing, and I was like, why is she? What is she talking about? But to top it off, two Niger came. Two Niger is like, you know, pretty much he's like, man, you don't know how to beg. Wait, let me get on my knees. Because when that Kali Enigma, a total baiter, you know, couldn't take St. James, he ran off the panel. Two Niger ran, he joined the panel right away, and he started saying, the only thing he came to say is, oh, Kali Enigma, come back. Come back. All voices are needed. You know what that reminds me of? In Gambia, we have what they call bombsters. These are the people that hang around the beach side. They follow the tourists. They tell them stories. And so with them, anything they think, if they think they can get something from the tourists, they would say whatever, thinking that they can get something. Because you see, Two Niger has never been to America. He's in that African dream space, thinking like these people can do something for him.
Yeah, he just says a guy on Facebook or on Instagram told me this.
A guy told you this? Because see, we're, you know, we're Africans. We know his thought process. He thinks, he really thinks he's pimping these people out. He's like trying to marinate them. But what he doesn't know, he needs to watch more videos. You know, he needs to watch more videos to so that he can see. Didn't he see a bunch of these colonizers, broke colonizers, you know, making videos asking what do they have for them in Africa? Didn't you guys see these videos?
Yep.
Which
Audrey
one?
said you need to
Which one?
summarize this video. Okay, yeah, Audrey, we are almost at the end, anyways. But guys, yeah, I gotta go eat too. But before we end the show here, um, St. James, you know, Africa React, you know, before we leave, what do you guys want to say to close this?
Yeah, I just wanted to tell all the African who are pandering, Africans are gonna need to fix Africa, and there's no way around it. You can't just hop on panels and waste time discussing unity and holding hands, but you're really begging for someone to come colonize you, but you don't know that you're begging the wrong colonizer. You're begging a broke one. So even that won't work. So we're gonna need to start manufacturing our own stuff. We're gonna need to hop on panels, discuss how to get blueprints on how to make a monitor, stuff like that, not unity. And we're not unified because we don't do business. Every black person on this earth isn't about business. So
Right.
as a group, business makes unity automatically. If everybody just gets on code and we all do business, we'll be unified. So
Well,
crying and just talking to each other on the internet won't unify anything.
exactly. And you're so right. You're so right about that, because like you said, like two Niger and the other Nigerian guy, and that Cameroonian witch, they are pandering to the wrong colonizer. You see? No, yeah,
Mimi
Audrey,
is not
I
gonna
gotta,
call.
I
Mimi is
gotta
not
eat.
gonna
That's
call.
why. Go ahead, St. James.
Mimi is not gonna call. I see Supergirl. They're not gonna call. What's going on? What's up? It's
And
Thursday.
yeah,
Thursday night.
Audrey is here. All of them. Like, I guess they don't want to call in, but yeah. But I'll definitely do another show tomorrow because I wanna go grab me, make me some food, because you see, I cook my own food, so um, which is beautiful. I'm a very picky guy.
I see.
Yeah,
So for me, what I notice, what we need to do, I would hope for us to talk more about those things we just mentioned earlier: low self-esteem, lack
right,
of work ethic, and all along, black excellence, African
right.
pride, all these things we have to
Yeah,
talk
well, St.
about.
James, I'm more realistic
Right.
than because like the thing is, you look at it, right? Like, for instance, like, I have a business partner and we are unified. We have a unified code. He's Vietnamese, you see, but we we have the same mindset. We have the same goals, and nothing is stopping that train. You see what I'm saying? But now, when somebody, because St. James, when you say this black excellence, don't forget about two Niger and your Cameroonian friend and the other ones. Because how are you gonna do it with them being there? So this is why you just gotta, that dream would never come true.
The
Have you,
first step,
you
the
know, you
first
were
step,
sorry, you were on the panel, right?
right.
As man, you did not. I don't know if you had the chance to really listen to this guy good. And I gotta say shout out to Mr. Uganda for muting that guy for so long. He got upset. He got upset and crying. Like, I don't know why they even allowed him to talk. This is why he wouldn't come to this show and join in. He can
That's what I
only
was
write.
about to say. Black excellence.
Yeah.
We have to find the platform that is needed. All the platforms are great in and of themselves, but in order to pass certain tests, we can. You don't have to go to certain people. You have to. For me, like, I don't do that because, but they have to come to you as well. You know what I'm saying?
No,
Why
see,
not?
St. James, for me, right? I truly like, I like the American excellence because that's what worked for me. And you can translate that to wherever you go because the Japanese
Absolutely.
did it, right?
Yeah,
Because if
absolutely.
if they said, oh no, we only gotta work with other Japanese or people that look like them whatsoever, they would still not know how to, they would have never made any vehicles or planes or be independent, you see. So like I mean, it's a good thought, but you already see at the AU they are sleeping over there. We're seeing this. So I think, it's great that to see a 17-year-old, who's already got his land and he's not showcasing it on the internet. And he's right. These people, they showcase things on the internet, and foolish Africans come, they start making you feel like it's such a big deal. But you come from a place where you see people owning several lands as if this is a new thing. And St. James, this lady also asked you, what are you doing in Africa? Like, why should, like, this is what I don't understand. Why do most of these Africans or the blacks here, they ask those questions? Like,
Yeah,
I don't owe, I don't owe anybody anything there. Like,
this
what
is
are
a
you
funny
talking
question.
about?
This is a funny question. That's what I was saying. Like, you gotta put yourself in a group.
Yeah.
Like, do they ask Black American or white American to build schools and hospitals for their communities? Because the government already collected tax, and they have done that.
Exactly.
So if our government wants to do the same, they have to just collect taxes on us and do those things.
Right.
So it's not up to you. It's not up to you.
They do this. The other, fake Pan-African is the Nigerian guy, Franklin. I went on his show. I challenged him, and he resorted to that Mimi did. Oh, what are you doing in Africa? Dude, I don't live in Africa. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I don't owe Africa anything. I don't know if they realize this. I'll do something just because I want to. Like, I don't owe anybody anything, just like nobody owes me anything. I don't expect anyone to do for me. No one should expect for me to do for them. I can work with people. That's a whole different thing. But it's like she was coming at you as if she is shaming you. So, okay, fine. Doesn't she live in the US like you, St. James?
Live in the United States. I don't want to put anybody's down, but I know the people that are barely making it. So, like I said, on YouTube, like, anybody can say whatever they want, right? When they get triggered, they will say what. Like I said, we don't know one another. We don't know what we do on the continent. You see what I'm saying? You and I, we speak privately,
right?
So we know what's going on in there. You see what I'm saying? Every time when I come and I tell somebody I can help you, you should know the kind of position I'm in.
Well, but you see, that's what I'm saying. Most of them cannot see outside of themselves. It's like that myopic thinking, because their condition, they cannot look beyond their condition. They're like, oh, he African, I'm African, so therefore his condition is just like mine. No, you might be poor and destitute wherever you are. That doesn't mean every African is in that condition. And also, Tunaja said something that was untrue. He quote unquote said it was elite Africans who have money, who are already educated. They are the ones that come to America. What did you think about that statement?
No, not 100%. We got that group, man. We got everybody else. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah. So you see, he's repeating, this hood Pan-Africanist talk back to us, because he's hearing this somewhere. So he wants to repeat it to make those people feel good. But I think he knows better.
I believe what they failed to understand is that, the Africans that live overseas, we are the best ally, because we know one another, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We are the best ally. Sometimes I feel like the conversation is not the way it should be, but I hope they don't forget that we are their best ally. Those people in Africa, they may not know you. You see what I'm saying? But
Right.
us, we know. We know
Right.
you. We know what you may need when you are on the continent. So don't you forget that. You know, when you talk about the diaspora are the one online talking bad. No, we don't talk bad. We are just having a conversation the same way you are having a conversation. You see what I'm saying? So, and we are allowed to have it.
Right.
You know,
Right.
if you want to come, if you want to join the conversation, so you can learn about us, because I feel like if you are on the panel, on an African panel, that means you are preparing to visit Africa. You are preparing to go to Africa. So don't be shy. You talking about, oh, you don't want to go to Africa, but you are on a African panel. You are on an African. You are trying to. You're listening. I don't understand. You are listening, but you are not listening. You are here, but you are not here. Which is it? So, and you are talking, and you want to tell Africans they don't have to be confused. They are confused because of your actions. They are
Right.
confused because you go on different panel. You tell other people that you don't care about Africa, and you turn around and you talk about if Africa has to be great for you to come. Which is it?
Yeah,
Africans are
but
going to be confused. They're going to be confused about your actions, and they're going to have react videos about everything they see about you. So don't be offended. As
yeah,
Africans on the
that's you know
continent,
what?
if you want to come here, we come here. We don't ask those questions, right?
Right.
You get the visa and you come here
Yeah,
and you
and
deal with it.
yeah, we don't like that's the list of my worries. And that's the thing. The videos that Africa React put out, he's not coming saying, "Oh, this is my opinion." He is taking videos and giving his commentary. And these videos are put out by actual Black Americans. So what do they mean by he hates them? These are people putting out these videos with their own voice. You know, so it's like they're the ones providing you the material.
His name is African React. React is not making those videos. It's reacting to the videos. So,
Well,
so
if you guys make sure you like and subscribe, and subscribe to African React. I assure you, you'll enjoy his videos. This young man, he's brilliant. He's 17 years old, already an alpha. And I like how you responded to that crazy witch asking you, "Oh, do you have a girlfriend already?" I say, what a slut, you know, like trying to turn you into a slut maker. This is ridiculous. These are the type of things these people think about. Here's a young man focusing. She's asking you about girlfriend. But I like that you're focused. Don't deviate from that. Keep your eye on the prize, because what you're taking on, it's a big project, and you're well on your way. You would definitely achieve it, because the same thing that I tell my son, I'm telling you too here. My son, he's super hardworking, and I guarantee you, he he makes more money than that Cameroonian witch. I can assure you that. Yeah, he makes more money than her, and you let her know that you sit there, at 17 in front of your computers, monitors, making way more money than her. See, these are the things that you think St. James, these people would be smart and come here and ask us, "Hey, how do you guys make money?" But instead, they just assume we're in the same,
right,
level and class as them.
right. You kept saying you have a business and no one wants to follow up on it. You
No, when I said it, like I said, they think they think I'm like stunning on them or whatever. No, I'm telling you, like, I'm making myself available to you for you to be able to utilize me. But because their anger and jealousy blinds them, they cannot see what I'm pushing out. What they all they see is, "Oh, this guy is making us feel little," because that's how they see the world. Because they are thinking, "Man, how if this guy really has a business, how come he's not over here, belittling people, because if they were in that position, that's what they would do. But
And
they're not gonna ask me. They're not gonna ask me any questions because that's not what they're about.
right. So you can offer those services for them. They will never ask because I mean you have don't forget the African jealousy is real too.
Oh, I know.
The African jealousy is real. That's we have to work on those things too. We have to talk about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we s- you know we see it every day. Even when we were there, we see it every day. That's the most common thing. And that's why Africans, cannot work together. You see it amongst black people in America, the same thing. The jealousy doesn't allow them to work together as well. It's ridiculous, because the things that I talk about, if they truly are about business, they are about progressing, they'll be asking questions. you know they would want to know, hey man, how come, like, how are you able to start a business? Another time I even gave them a little blueprint, but it went over their head. I saw somebody came later, apparently they said, oh, this guy is bragging, he is this, he's that. I'm like, okay, it's not bragging if you're really doing it. It's not bragging. So they are dense, they cannot learn. The only thing they could hear is if you say you are offering free money. If you offering free money, now all of a sudden you're pan-Africanist. And another thing, why are they trying to they treat Africans like, save the children, those commercials. Oh yeah, I'm going to Africa, I'm gonna do this and this for the Africans. What, you don't see people here in your community you can do that for? I mean, it's one thing if you say you're going to Africa to do your thing. Hey, go ahead, do that. That's great. But don't pretend. You see
Yeah,
what I'm saying? Don't
absolutely.
pretend.
Absolutely. Pretending is what kills the relationship. Like, don't pretend. Like, I see people going to Africa, and I know they are business people. So go do your business,
Right.
get what you can get, and do your thing. I mean, if you want to go connect with Africans and live in Africa, we already see the people that are doing it. We're
Right.
not. Yes. So those. Yes. So don't pretend.
Well, it's
You
a
know?
it's a it's a it's a cop out, and I think that's why it's so, when people say everybody seem to be, in that space. Because for us, like St. James, we correct one another. You see that with other cultures. But now you would see, is so many of this type of things happening, but you don't see people correcting them, or people, they will still associate themselves to that, and then they get upset when African reacts.
Absolutely. It's like if you are a strong man and your team is weak, does that help you? Does that help you? It
Nah,
doesn't help
nah.
you. You know,
But you
you
see
have
here, St. James, here's a guy who's
to.
calls himself Patrice Lumumba. He's obsessed with white people. He's passing off as Lumumba, but we know he's not Lumumba. Do white people go to Africa with a savior complex? Describe savior complex for us. We haven't seen white people on the internet, saying how they are going to Africa to do this and that and that. We have our land. They just go there, they mingle and do their things. And another group of people they are very jealous of is the Lebanese. Like the Lebanese have been in a lot of those people they see in Gambia. They don't realize that those people are Gambians. They are born and raised there. And they're like, oh, are you irritated with those people? Like, why would people be irritated with people who don't do those stuff? Are they trying? See, that's what they do. They project. There are people who are from America, blacks or British. They are there. They don't act this way. Nobody says anything about their behavior. But when you point out some of these people, their behavior, they completely lose it. They completely lose it. Because it's like, okay, you want us to just ignore it? Is that what's going on? I don't get it. Oh,
Well,
look at this guy. You know, another childish thing. It's like he's here to prove more of the points we were talking about. Have you noticed gravitated towards, you know, negative things? He's saying, oh, there was a white woman that killed 500 babies in Uganda. Okay, so what's his point? You see what I'm saying? No accountability.
those are the kind of
White
conversations we
people.
need to
Oh,
have.
sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Those are when you read those things, you want those people to come here so we can have honest conversations. Like,
Right.
you know, so who's happy like to give these 500 children to that lady to kill them? Like, I mean,
Well, that's what I don't understand. So, you know, it's like, for instance, they would say, oh, there's sex tourism in the Gambia. Well, okay. And what's that have to do with your behavior? You see what I'm saying? So, okay, if there's sex tourism there, so therefore the way you act, that shouldn't be pointed out. I'm sure there are people who are interested in making videos about that. They'll make videos about that. You see what I'm saying? But if they go to Gambia themselves and see the people that are in that tourist area that are mostly the sex tourists, they will see that those people are not from Gambia. There are many different West Africans in Gambia. So maybe they can go speak to those people and know where they are from. Those are not Gambian people.
yeah,
Those are
the natives don't do that in their countries, though.
No, exactly.
They have to go to a different country to do it.
Yeah. Imagine how, like, Gambia is super small. It's super small. Why would a Gambian go be a street walker in that tourist area? I'm sure there are some few that do that, but you become ostracized. Those are the outcasts of society. People, they move to other countries to do this kind of stuff because people know them where they are. They're not going to do that where they come from.
Absolutely. I agree.
I
agree. I mean, it's like the deflection is real, right? The deflection is real. So if you don't pay attention, you're gonna fall for the okie doke. How about those people? How about I'm like, okay, we are just talking about something else.
It's called, I call it the whataboutism. It's like they go into this trance. Even when you say something, right, is, oh, white people do that too. St. James, when we came to America here, right, there are a lot of things here. The American law is legal. The American law allows it. But our culture, or our religion is against those things. Yeah, we're not going to tell them don't do it, but just because it's legal, does that mean we're going to do it and say, oh, white people do it too?
We will not do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, whether it's legal or whatever that situation may be.
Yeah, just because it's legal doesn't mean it's right. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you're proud of it, hey, you shouldn't have issues with it when somebody talks about it. But there's a reason why when people talk about it, you get offended. You try to shut them down. See, the thing is, we're used to dictators in Africa, and we know what it means for somebody to shut you down or try to. We recognize it miles away. So, when somebody, you're living in a country where you have freedom of speech, it's in their constitution. And then someone comes to you telling you, oh, you shouldn't utilize this great law. You should think like me because we all black. I suffer, I have trauma. Hey, I don't have that trauma, whatever you're talking about. So it sounds like a personal problem. You should deal with your personal problem. You should overcome it. If you're a broken person, but I'm not broken. Why? Like, you're weak. Why do you want me to be weak? You should be trying to overcome and become stronger. We all can do it. But you said, no, if you don't become weak like me, then you hate me. You have a certain way of teaching your children. You see, for instance, I'll give you example. Like, even the teachers at the school, when my son was younger, some of these things that they say is part of their school curriculum, but it's a lot of BS. I don't allow my son to attend those. I exempt him. They're like, oh, we want to. No, I don't want you teaching my son your degenerate ideas. It's one thing for you, like, hey, if you want to expose your children to that, more power to you. That's on you. But I have the right, not to expose myself or my children to that. And, I'm just happy to hear how African react, how he sounds, his mind. He has a great mind. Don't you St. James, what do you think?
I believe he has to be a coach. Man, you gotta gather more Africans around you, man, and create a little circle so you can teach them a few things that you already know. I think you are too advanced for your age, and I commend you for that. You have to really take on that. I would appreciate it, because you see, we have a lot of weak people around us, and I know that already. I don't want to talk about it because you don't want to expose certain people because of
St. James. We have to expose
yeah.
the behavior, because the good thing, look at a young man. A young man is able to see through all their weakness, their BS, and he's calling it out. So I hope more and more young men can see this and do it. That Cameroonian witch, instead of her coming there trying to run interference, she should be having her children watch African React, so that they don't turn out to be weak like her, so that they don't turn out to be beggars and panderers like her, because it's crazy. And St. James, I like that you told her to go bring her husband, because like, I don't want to be on a panel.
Yes. Since when in
Discussing.
our culture,
Yeah.
since when in our culture we go back and forth with our women's like that?
No, we don't do
Since
that.
when? So it gets too personal, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Because you want to get too technical, I'm like, okay, go bring them, so we can have a conversation. It's not, and a lot of people don't understand what I just said, because they thought I was trying to, disrespect. I'm like, nah.
No, you're speaking facts.
Right.
Because the thing is, you look at it, it's funny. She did the same thing the other witch from Equatorial Guinea would say. They get upset. They talk about, oh, if you see me in person, like, they are ready to take on men physically. Like, what kind of culture are these people coming from? Like, where I come from, like, I don't know, Gambian woman is going to invite a man to a physical fight. Like, what is going on?
They're too happy. Like those Those folks, they're too happy to show you that, oh, I'm better than you, I'm superior, I can do those things. Like, really? In which culture? Your culture? Because I don't understand it. You know, that's why we have to really expose those behavior. You know,
Right. Well, the thing is, I'm just happy to see a young man holding that mantle. In fact, African React. I told my son about you. One of these days, he would join the 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 conversation, so people hear his mind. He's been busy, with school and work, because hey, he loves to work. He just like you. Right now he can buy him a land somewhere in Africa, and it's gonna be dusty, and put some of these Pan Africanists to shame again. Our 17-year-olds, are doing this, but they want to come here and argue with us and want to tell us about how broke and dusty we are.
Amsterdam, there is a Chinese eating guys over here on the chat, right? He talks
Oh,
about the Chinese. He loves them.
yeah,
They talk about Chinese, and you are a Chinese eating. Listen, man, we live in America, man. You don't eat nothing else but Chinese food. So
I know.
let's listen about Chinese fishes, Chinese boat, Chinese canoes. Come on now, you
Yeah,
know.
well,
And you eating Chinese over here? Your neighborhood, all the neighborhood in America here has a Chinese store, restaurant,
Chinese, Korean,
Korean food,
does it,
takeout.
he's saying the Chinese are exploiting the Gambian waters. You should be happy that they are going there, because if not, the hood is not gonna eat, because they bring the food here. They sell it to America, just so you know. Oh, Bantu Queen is here. Bantu have been busy, but on the weekend, I'll make sure I come early so that you guys can join me. We miss you in the chat.
After Damas, tell that dude, man, we're gonna have the Chinese restaurant close at 12 p.m. tomorrow. All of them across the United States, and see what happens.
It's- you know, African React. So I heard that. Was it you or Kwesi that said Africa for Africans and Chinese and Lebanese? Who said that?
Yeah, it wasn't me. It was
Was
crazy, I think.
was that Kwesi? I
Yeah,
wish
I
we would
think.
have had. I wish I could have had Kwesi here, and hopefully, um, I'm trying to get hold of him. I want to figure out a way to get hold of him, because I heard his experience too about the UK, but somehow they ignored it and said, "Oh, he's been hateful." So, when you talk about white people and your experience, are you being hateful?
Nope.
You see? So they want, because like I noticed they were trying to convince you to have a weird feeling about white people, saying, "Oh, you don't know what they're thinking. They're petting you, they're fetishizing you." But you see how they're removing your own power and understanding of what you're seeing. They're
Yep.
saying that they're pretty much, they don't even realize that they're telling you that, oh no, what you're seeing, you don't understand it. You're too dumb to know what you're seeing. Oh, when somebody stab you, oh, they are just saying hello. In our culture, to say hello, we stab and shoot people. You should be okay with that. Like, are you kidding me? Hey, if that's what you're about, hey, more power to you. But do I have the option to opt out? And some are gonna come and say, "Oh, you're picking on this, blah blah blah." But he said that. I checked the chat room. I checked the chat. It was only Africans that came and said, what kind of BS culture is that? But there were Black Americans there watching. None of them came and went against what he said. You know, so the conversation is okay, fine. You justified it. You're saying it's your culture. Well, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about what we see. So if you call it your culture, we don't want nobody wants a part of that. You know, and to see a 17-year-old trigger grown man, you know, they try to insult him, they pay money to insult him, and he just laughs. He laughs at them. You know, this is how you want to raise your kids, to have self-esteem. You don't have to insult other people to feel good about yourself. The interpretation, the way you interpret things, hey, is you. You know, that's you interpreting things in your head. No one has control over that. It's if no one has control over how you think, how you see the world. And just because you see somebody they have dark skin doesn't mean you have the same culture. Like African React is from Kenya. I'm from, you know, West Africa, Gambia. St. James is from West Africa. Like my culture is much more similar to St. James's than African React. Would you guys agree with that?
Yep.
Yeah. But you see, if we say, you see, for us, we understand that, right? And when we talk about it, we're like, yeah, and we agree to that. But when you say this, they get triggered. No, 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 no. You cannot say we're different. Then you have the dumb Africans that would come on there. Maybe they're ashamed of their culture, they're ashamed of who they are, or lack the understanding. It's like they just want to force, oh, no, no, we're all the same. It's like, this is how I look at it, right? It's like a dumping site. A dumping site accepts all types of garbage, right? A well manicured place, to get there is filtered. It's filtered literally.
Let me tell you a story though. Let me tell you a story. One day I was going to get me some gas, right?
Right.
I got to the gas station. I walked to the cashier, paid my money, and I walked out. This guy was beating his girlfriend, and everybody pulled their cameras out.
Wow.
And I was standing in there. I was like, God damn, what the? So
world star hip hop.
Yes, everybody got their camera. Everybody was laughing, and it was like it's like a. It didn't sit well with me, man. I was like,
no, St. James, I see. I'm telling you, St. James, I see those videos too, right?
Right.
But it's wild when it's like people are seeing this all around the world. Anyone that can type into YouTube and people are seeing this. You like groups of people are seeing how, you know, you brutalize each other. You take videos of it. You laugh about it, and this is not a normal thing around in other cultures. People are seeing this. Yes. And you're shocked. You're shocked. You know, people don't want to be around you.
Yeah. Somebody asked me, what did I do? You don't understand. If I brought it up, you don't think I did something different than what these people were doing? That's what I did. I stopped the fight.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, like, I don't understand. I don't see you right when it comes to, you know, people fighting, you know, amongst, you know, black culture here. They don't break it up. They just pull out the camera and they find it entertaining. Like somebody could be getting beat up, you know, getting stomped on, and they would laugh. They would make videos, you see. And but you want to tell other people that they hate, you know, when, you know, people that do that to each other, they don't have love. For other people to even stand there and watch that and pull out their cameras. So instead of helping the person, that this is happening to, they're not doing that. Why would you want to be around that, or your children? Why would you want that? If you love your kids, you wouldn't subject them to that. You won't subject them to that. So this is why, something like that, obviously you have to try to shame other people or convince them to accept it as right. Oh, Audrey said that's from slavery days. None of those people were born in slavery. The people that were enslaved in America, those slaves had self-respect and dignity. They endured with humility. They loved God. They loved their slave masters. This is why they were able to eventually overcome their situation, because they believe in loving thy enemy. Because when you hate, it eats at you. It's like drinking poison. But people go around, they want to interpret slavery, and they do it like in a trance, as if they themselves were enslaved, as if they know what happened there. So you notice, for slavery, there's never any good part about it. It's always something bad. Something bad. How is that possible? Life is not like that. I mean, I'm sure that I'm not saying that being a slave is something fun. No human being would want to be owned by another human, regardless of where that is. That's just plain old common sense. But if you've never been enslaved, to say that you want to piggyback your behavior off of people that were enslaved, centuries ago, that's a problem. Because that's even, denigrating the legacy of those people, reducing them to nothing but, animals. Because you hear some of these people, they talk about slavery, they don't realize they are the ones disrespecting the legacy of those slaves. That's why when some of these people talk, I say, please be quiet, because you're denigrating the legacy, of your ancestors. Isn't that correct?
That's true.
Yeah.
You're not following the footstep. You're not.
It's a shame. But guys, I'm glad you guys came. We're able to have this conversation, because we should have this more often. Because the thing is, going to those panels, it becomes chaotic. You guys have they have a lot of ignorant people that come on there. They don't know what they're talking about. So when they hear facts, they lose their mind. You have people pandering, people like Two Niger, the other Nigerian. I don't know, man. Nigeria, you guys gotta come get your boys. You got Two Niger, that Brian guy. You have Franklin. Now that guy. Bro, you guys think about this. An African person coming online saying they are promoting this voodoo stuff. Think about that. This is how far they've gone with the pandering. I see the guy, he said he's totally talking smack about Jesus Christ and all. Hey, if you're not into Jesus, that's great. You're not into Christianity, that's fine. But now you want to talk about this voodoo stuff, people worshiping chickens and animals, snakes, and all that. That's what you believe in. That's fine. Let's see where that takes you. But this is what these people are promoting nothing that would ever help Africans, nothing that would ever empower Africans. This is why you're not gonna see those people on this channel. Shout out to Happy Companion. Happy Companion, thanks for joining us. You know, he's a smart guy. You know, yeah. You have another guy, Dinas. You guys realize this guy has pretended to be African, but look at, you know, what aspects of Africa he is pretending to promote. Voodoo. Think about these people. This is what people they think of Africa. Chicken bones, chicken feet, blood. When in Africa, the people you don't the people that are into this voodoo thing, they are ashamed to display it. At least where I come from. You know, there are some who are into it. They do it in their own way. I'm sure like places like Nigeria is pretty, you know, popular over there because they, you know, put it in their movies. You know, but this guy is going there pretending now he is African. He is, you know, he's a voodoo priest. This guy don't know anything about voodoo. You know, he thinks this chickens, you know, over there like is KFC. No. The chicken is the sacrifice. But you know, it's just a disgrace. It's just a disgrace. So that's why when I see these crazy Africans who come on those panels, they don't know what they're talking about. They're pandering, they're begging. You know, they don't realize they're picking broke colonizers, just like what African React says here. And I've said this before too. You know, it makes me laugh. I said, these idiots here, they really think they're saying something. And you know, more power to African React, African Millennial and Mr. Uganda attempting to handle a topic that is beyond their head, because once it got heated, they couldn't stay in that kitchen. But you see here, we have rational conversation. The line, I opened it. Is it weird to you guys that, you know, none of these guys are anywhere to be found to come and take this opportunity and talk about this?
We're gonna have to ask the questions, man. Now we gotta go public with that. You know, I would hope for certain people to come. It's not because we want to belittle. No,
No,
let's
it's
just
a
have the
conversation.
conversations. Let's just
Right.
have conversations. You know, we need to have them. If they don't, you know, let's keep it
But
moving.
but why do you guys think they avoid the Afridamos panel? I mean, they would comment, but lines get open, they don't pick up the line. What is it? What's happening here at the Afridamos report that's making them, you know, not join the panel? Because this topic, they love this type of topic. They love coming in telling Africans, you know, about what they think. You see, I'm talking about not only the Black American um, Pan Africanists, the toxic ones, of course, and the African panderers. They are invited to come here and explain to all of us, you know, what they think. But somehow they always take the opportunity to go on those panels, you know, to spew these things. Somehow, I don't know, they are confident that nobody will correct them. Because yesterday when Two Niger was spewing that nonsense, I heard it, but I was too busy. I was tempted to come on there and correct that Cameroonian witch also, the one asking you how can St. James, what are you doing in Africa? You should do this and this and that. You're in America too, right? That's what's making you say it, you know, all this, because they somehow they know, they have all these ideas about what you should be doing in Africa. Because the other day also I heard Dr. Kezo on a panel. Dr. Kezo was talking about things that made sense. But they were telling Dr. Kezo, trying to tell him about what they are doing. The man just finished. This is the problem with a lot of these Africans. You can see that Africans, they don't respect other Africans. The man is sitting there telling, this man is a businessman. He obviously is talking about successful business. He knows what he's talking about. But you have some of these people who are barely employed. They want to tell this man everything he should be doing. So if you guys know what you should be doing, why aren't you doing it? You're telling a man who is already doing these things. So they're always trying to push somebody, to do some charity thing. Why don't they just do it themselves if that's what their idea is? But no, they're not going to do that because these people are full of shit. It's the truth.
Have you
They
ever
just
heard
want
about
to hear
that?
themselves.
Have you ever heard about that dude, the African dude, Josie Gold?
Yes, I've heard Josie Gold before.
Yeah, that dude is a good one.
Yes, he's,
I respect him a
look,
lot.
I'm just there's not all Africans have lost their mind, okay? There's still some of us that still, our minds are intact. And one of the realities that African React told them, and they know this, but they want to deny it because they were talking about Afridamus is a hater. He told them several times, he said, majority of Africans in the US think like Afridamus. And, this is why when they come in contact with us or St. James, it's always a crying because we are grown men here. Even though African React, now I have to put him in the grown man category because he's run laps around these people and he's only 17. Bantu Queen said, I have no issues with diasporans whatsoever. My issue is the disrespect that exactly, Bantu Queen. That's what it is for any self-respecting African. That's what it's about. Because you cannot just come and start saying things. And when people react, they make videos. In fact, they are not saying anything. They are literally just going off of your video. Plain and simple. Like today, I saw a video, just a little clip of a black woman in Gambia who's crying, saying they stole all her stuff. Like I've been saying it, right? Because they try to romanticize Gambia. Even before there was some thieves. I made video about that. No, I was on a panel. I think it was the Wakandan channel. Quickly they dropped me because apparently, they would rather discuss about a place they've never been to. They want to listen to everybody, people like to Niger, Rokoya, the people who have never been to this place. They would rather listen to them than the person who's actually from there. But they didn't want, it seems like they want to shield the other black people from hearing the truth. So I want to make it sound like people don't steal in Gambia, but now they are learning. Look, I'll tell you, one of my cousins, he's actually still there. He moved back to Gambia. When he got there, within his first few weeks, in fact, he was home, inside, taking a shower. He left his window open. By the time he came out of the shower, somebody came, hopped in, jumped in, stole everything, all his clothes. I mean, no, he was still fresh. He didn't even completely unpack yet. They stole everything. So to think that you're going to go to a place, where the people are seeing you with things they wanted, but they cannot get it. They can't afford it. How do you think they're going to get it? They're going to figure out a way. They're going to study what you're doing. And they're not doing that to you because you're Black American. No. Hey, the opportunity presented itself. They do it to other people. And also, a lot of those,
So you
there's
made it was a
mixed.
video today?
I mean, I gotta look for the full video. Actually, before the weekend, this weekend we have, several videos to analyze here at the Afridamus report, and Bantu Queen, and I'll make sure I do it while Bantu Queen is up. So our European audience can join us here too. But
After that, I have a question. Like, how much, like, if you want to hire a security guard, like the one that we have back home, who can guard your house, how much does it cost?
man, I think I'm not sure, but I think, man, even if you pay somebody like $50 a month or 60
Mm-hmm.
bucks,
Mm-hmm.
man, that's
That's
good
decent.
amount. That's huge. That's good amount of money.
And it can be armed security, or yes.
No, I don't think so. I mean, like, I know, like, when I was growing up, right?
Mm-hmm.
We, people hire like their own, they call them watchmen. So yes, they can have weapons, they can have like a hunting rifle, or they can have bow and arrow.
Okay, I see.
I
I
used to
see.
see, when I was, I remember most of the popular weapon they would carry is the bow and arrow, because the bow and arrow would incapacitate you quickly. So the watchmen, they used to carry the bow and arrow.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna go eat.
Yeah, I gotta
It was a
go
nice
eat
show.
too. But
Yeah.
thanks, guys. Thank you
Uh,
for coming, young
uh,
man.
Yep.
Thank you. Nice talking to you, Mr. African Rea.
Uh-huh.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm getting hungry here. I need to go, make my food. It's defrosting right now. Today, I went to the Gambian store. I loaded up on some Gambian things. I think I want to make what they call plazas. I'm really good at making that. But I'm also debating if I should go up on my rooftop and, barbecue. But, I have plenty of options. So it is what it is. I hope you guys have enjoyed this conversation, because you see, having this honest conversations is what's going to help Africans and, non-Africans enjoy, understand each other and know, what is right for one and what is wrong for the other. You don't have to be around the people you don't like. It's plain and simple. This is America. It's it's a huge place. It's tons of people here. If you don't like a group of people or you don't want to be around them, hey, that's perfect. You can just move on, but don't try to come and diminish their experience while you are asking them to to um to relate to whatever experience you have. Not every Black person in the world shares, the same type of experience. People, even from the same family, don't have the same exact experience, much more, the wider world, um, even family, people interpret the world differently. So if you think you're going to run into strangers and expect that they're going to think just like you're certainly mistaken. If you're using all your insults, for instance, any insult that you want to use to insult somebody else, it has something to do with African. African booty scratcher, African stings, African, like, I can go on and on and on. African dusty. Like I said, in America, especially Black women, if you say to them they look African, that is a big insult. And I'll translate. Translation meaning they see that as ugly. So if you're around that, you see that, and you as an African, you're like, okay, what is going on here? Why do you think, why do you think like this about Africans? Just like yesterday, you guys have seen the example of a grown man, Brandon, and some of you have given him the new name, a sumo wrestler who wants to go to Kenya. He's even started calling himself a Kenyan. But the moment he disagreed with a young person, very young, who's young enough to be his child, he paid money to insult him, his look. But you want to go be a part of, these people, but this is what you really think about them. I've told you guys this earlier. You guys have heard, St. James, you've heard African React. This is not me making this up. You guys have seen here, even on the internet, when they are upset with Africans speaking the truth, what do they call you? Monkey, or insult your country. You guys have seen in every chat, what do they write? Oh, your country is poor and dusty. But my country, you mean the USA? I have two countries. I have two countries. Oh, you're going to insult Gambia? You calling Gambia poor, you think that's insulting me? That's funny to me. Because you see, yeah, people might be materially poor, but what about morally? What about mentally? That's what it comes down to. If you have a great mind, you will never be poor, because you have, the way you think, you can change your condition. But if your mind isn't right, it doesn't matter what you have. You're living in hell. And you know what they say? Hell is bottomless. Yeah, the people you call poor, they can live without these material things and be happy. But what about you? Hey, you're the one that can't live without them. That's why you use it as insult every single time. Yeah, you go to Gambia, tell someone that they are poor, they're not gonna take that as an insult. They will be like, okay, hey, since you got it, why don't you help me out? That means you've opened yourself up to, being begged to get something out of it. So it's not an insult. The people are perfectly fine. So I'm not here to try to defend any of those type of talks. Hey, it's America, like I said. You have the freedom of speech. Your First Amendment right would be respected here. But I would hope mine would be respected too. So it's not an insult. It's all in love. All I can give is love. No hate here. The person that speaks the truth to you loves you. I know for some, accountability is something foreign to you. If you're raised with no accountability, when you go out there, you encounter people, it's going to be a problem. This is why people should raise their children well. Because if watching what's happening on these streets here on the internet is not a clear indication of people teaching their kids to have self-esteem, I don't know what is. See, one diasporan said months ago that they helped Africa in the struggle for independence. He forgot that was during civil rights movement. Exactly, Bantu Queen. I always talk about that, because how can you say you're oppressed and then you're helping another oppressed group? How? Because that just hear that we helped Africa. different countries fought for their own independence. So if you were here saying you're fighting the white man, you're fighting for your rights. So you're saying you didn't even have rights, but yet you didn't defeat the white man in America, but you're going to go defeat a white man in Africa, a European white man that you don't know anything about. So Bantu, like, I've learned one thing. I don't even allow myself to get pulled into those nonsense anymore, because before I really want to know, where they're going with it, but I don't even waste my time anymore, because like, I live here. I've been living in this country for years. So I know exactly, how most of these people think. So I engage the conversation because I want Africans who are not here, or who are in America, who don't know what's going on, for them to see and hear for themselves. Because you guys saw that, whatever the hell her name is, Mama Z, you guys have heard how she speaks. Think about that for a minute. You guys have heard to Niger. You guys have heard other Africans. I know many of you are very embarrassed hearing those people talk like that. Just think about that. You're sitting there, you're hearing these Africans talking as if they've lost their mind. And for some reason, I don't know, the majority seem to be Nigerian. I don't know what's going on there. Because already in Africa, I mean, people, let's not lie about it. Many people, how most other Africans even already look at, Nigerians. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend like people like, oh, yeah, we trust you, blah, blah, blah. We all know the truth, okay? So now you come on the internet, the same thing that people say, you said you get accused of, and you're here exhibiting that. What do you suppose we make out of that? So that's why when they say Pan-Africanism, it makes me laugh, because every 5 African you meet, one is a Nigerian. It's a very populated country. So if the most populated country in Africa, their reps on the internet, or even out there, you already see, like, okay, if you gotta do Pan-Africanism, these people have their version of Pan-Africanism. It's like they are setting up these people to rip them off, but they're trying to rip off the wrong group. Because, like we say, you cannot get something out of broke colonizers. You guys have seen a lot of the ones that talk about colonizing. They are over there to make money off of other Black Americans, or even African if they could, but mostly from other Black American. We're seeing this. But you guys want to talk about Pan-Africanism, the Africans. Here with Mason Brown. Hey, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. Stereotypes are usually from truth, right? Yeah, if it doesn't apply, let it fly. That's just what it is. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you had a great time. Like and subscribe to the channel. It's funny, people. You're not gonna believe this. Every time I come out here and give you guys this red pill content, one subscriber would run away, but they always get replaced. That means I'm doing my job correctly. So slowly, I'm reaching more and more people. We will get there. We have to wake the people up, plain and simple. But it's all in love. When you try to diminish other people's experience, you try to defend your behavior because you're ashamed of accepting it, then why don't you change it? Simple as that. So that's why you heard the young man and other people say, we don't want our kids around such and such group. And people have the right to do that. Because who wants their children to be mean to other people? Who want their children to grow up and harbor hatred in their heart towards everybody? Who wants that? So this is why when I tell people, if you don't love white people, you love no one. Because it's hard for me to trust you if you say you don't love white people. That means you're saying you don't love other human beings. So therefore, how long is it going to take for you to hate me too? Because the day that I disagree with you, you're going to hate me because your heart is already prone to, to hating to hating an entire group of people. So I'm an individual who do not let my eyes deceive me. So you shouldn't either. When what you're seeing is what it is, it's real. If you don't want your kids to be around that, you don't want your kids to be bullied, you yourself don't want to be bullied, disrespected, put your life in danger, don't be around such things or be in environments where that is bound to happen. And I apologize to no one for giving you this information here. But you see, only a criminal minded person would want you to find yourself in that situation. Think about it for a minute. Like if I'm walking down a street and there's this big hole, big gaping hole, but I happen to circumvent it and I made it to the other side. And do you think it would be a good thing or a bad thing for me to warn the other people that are coming and say, hey, watch out, there's a big hole over there, if you fall in it you might not get out of it? So I'm a terrible person for saying for alerting those people, or I'm doing a public service. I told you guys, my job here is to be the antidote to bullshit. All the bullshit that has been spread, speaking the truth, sharing love. Because I believe that salvation is of the heart. As a man thinketh, so he shall be. So this is from a thought process that people are exhibiting out there. So it is incumbent upon all good people to stand up for what is right. Do not waver. It doesn't matter. Look, I'm very much aware that the enemies of truth, the children of Satan, they're going to come attack me. They're going to go against, the truth because they're not used to it. If you've lived your entire life in lies, patting yourself on the back, you're around people where, you fluff each other up. Obviously, when you come around a real man, alpha male, speaking like an alpha, it would be foreign to you. This is why I'm so happy to see another young African male, 17 years old. He's already an alpha. He's same age as my son. Obviously, you guys know the answer. You know my son has to be an alpha. Look at who his daddy is. Don't think that I didn't face the battles. If people create the battle, I'm ready to face it. I'm not backing down from no weak, destitute, negative energy. Never. And let me tell you, lies, the lie is loud, but the lie is weak. It's bound to crumble. So this is why you have to stand up. And it has nothing to do with what region, whatever. It's just what people attach themselves to. Yes, you guys have seen other continental Africans. You can tell, you can question who raised these people. What type of community did they come from? This is why they put so much emphasis on material goods, money. That's what they believe in. But what is that doing for them? You put value in something that you don't even have. So this is why when people like me speak of what is relevant, they have to always resort to insult. Not only insulting me by myself, they think they are insulting my entire country. And I'm glad people like Mimi, who's from the same place as me, and my other fellow countrymen, they laugh at this. They don't take it serious, as they shouldn't. Because you see, eventually, people that engage in this would learn that being black doesn't mean anything. Being black doesn't mean you have to exhibit weakness. People don't like weak people. Seriously, it's a fact. No one wants to work with a weak person. Nobody wants that. Because if the person is exhibiting weakness, you seeing the weakness, how can you work with that person? What can they do for you? Because they would never be satisfied. When you see somebody blaming everyone except themselves, you want to avoid that individual. Because guess what? When they run out of the people to blame, they would come after you. And how come every conversation, the only people you want to get along with is those who perpetrate that weakness? If they deviate from whatever you're trying to get them to accept, then you hate them. So I'm not with that. I'm about the truth and the truth only. If anyone that thinks, oh, I have expectation, oh, Afridamus shattered my expectation, that's you. You know how people, they sit there and say, oh, I'm disappointed. What? Hey, you're the one that is creating your own perception of me, or what you think I should be, or what I should say. That's not how the world works. If you think I should be a certain way, don't be surprised when your feelings are hurt or disappointed. But I want to thank you again. I hope you guys come back tomorrow again. We will take it from where we left off at. I've got plenty of things lined up, and I hope you guys have a wonderful evening.